Let's do it. First set of LRM versus IFU.
Oh, hello everybody. I am Hacklebeast here with Elegant for Week 1 action, LRM versus IFU. We have, in the top position, has the purple Protoss.
Are you waiting for me to say? No, okay.
And in the bottom right position, as the orange Zerg, we have that is right, it is Pike versus Must. It should be a very good game. Two of the best players from their respective teams. And PVZ on Outlier.
I almost made a bit of a booby there. I almost talked over your video, but I realized what was happening like just in the nick of time. I was like, should I?
You totally talked over the video.
Nearly. I nearly went the whole way and did the whole shout-out.
You nearly went the whole way. Okay.
I held my tongue.
All
right.
Good,
and we got in just before the fish daily shutdown as well. Jolly good. So yes, as you've seen from Hacklebeast and his spectacular technological wizardry over there, we do have LRM Pike versus LRM Pike versus IFU Must. And this should be a pretty decent match. IFU Must also, correct me if I'm wrong, but he is Lancer X, is he not?
Indeed he is. He is Lancer X in most things, but not Gambit Cup. So I call him Must in absolutely everything. Because I'm so used to Must.
So quite an active player, and he's often seen as a little bit of an underdog in this kind of contest, especially against someone who is so undoubtedly skilled as Pike, but he can always pull an upset and always a player to be reckoned with nonetheless, and tries to do a little bit of delaying on the natural expansion, but he loses a bit too much health on his probe and is going to be forced to pull out. He needs to make sure that probe stays alive. It's running a little bit of a risky gauntlet going in so close to the enemy drones, but he doesn't manage to get it out, but probably going to be taken care of by the Lings, and down it goes. That can already be quite decisive. Because of course the scouting probe absolutely crucial in the PvZ matchup. He has gone for a gateway first build, which is a little bit weird on this map because we see quite a wide open choke point, and his first Zealot going out for some reason is going to get caught by these Lings. I think these Lings might actually be able to deal with that Zealot if they're micro correctly, which they should be. Pike, of course, a very capable player, very able to do the decent micro, which will enable him to take down this Zealot before it does any damage. It might make its way all the way over to his main base, but it shouldn't be too much trouble for him, and this should allow Must to just get his natural expansion nice and safe. But still no forge, meaning that there's no significant wall in there, so chance of a Ling run by is still quite high.
Yeah, and Pike definitely has a nice large number of Lings out, 8 already, with more on the way. You're right, it is kind of an interesting decision for to only throw the forge down now, and he's not even throwing it down in a position that makes anything tight. There is nothing tight about this wall, except for maybe pylon cliff, but even that I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not sold on this walling really, and looks a little bit risky for IFU Must, but I think he's going to actually get away with it. Pike just doesn't look too eager to get any kind of run by going on. Maybe he assumes a slightly better walling, but this walling looks chronically unsafe. Nonetheless, it shouldn't be too badly threatened. And Pike maybe now going for a little bit of pressure, but the first cannon's on the way, so he needs to be quick about it. But Must, actually, with some decently positioned Zealots, might lose one of them right here. It was a little bit too far forward, so it wasn't well protected by the pylon on the gateway. But he will be able to hold out. I quite like these kind of openings. A lot of people tell me that they're crap, but I think they're good. I like gateway first openings. I think they offer some decent advantages.
They're nice as long as you're not as long as you're careful and don't allow a large number of Lings like this to get too far into the base. But yeah, assuming that nothing bad happens in the early game, it does really open up your playbook once it gets to the mid game, and some of those +1 speed lot attacks with an extra 3 speed lots can be absolutely devastating.
Yep. Yes, 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 they really can, and I've been there many, many times myself. Must once again moving out with 4 zealots or so, and 4 zealots is something that's very, very scary to a Zerg at this stage of the game, and he is of course having to hatch in a few more lings. He's hatching in 1, 2, 3, 4. Might want a few more than that, because 4 extra lings is probably not going to be enough to see off this pressure, because 4 zealots are of course quite a worry. A 5th one on the way now as well, and this is one of the reasons I like these Gateway First builds. It allows you to really get aggressive early on in the game, and you might be able to do some decent stuff here with this little strike force of zealots as they make their way into the Zerg natural. Keeping a good line as well, needs to make sure he doesn't get surrounded. He's just going to wait for that fifth and final zealot, try and sneak a probe in, but not making any headways with that. And yeah, good bit of map presence in the early game, and that's what's really great about these openings.
I'm actually a slight bit... I'm slightly interested by Pike's hatchery positions. His 3rd hatchery was placed at this base in the middle of the map. That's kind of an awkward position. If you don't have a really big army, it's going to be really hard to just defend it with SimCity. And then this hatchery is a very ZVT hatchery. Normally you use your hatchery right here to block, to make part of a SimCity, but Pike putting it this far back, it's as if he was trying to hide it from Must Zealots that would have seen in the front, and he is making a lot of lings.
Yeah. He really is. I'm not quite sure why he's doing that. I guess he's just terrified of these zealots, but the zealots have all pulled back. It looks like Must is readying for some kind of speed zealot action. He's got the +1 weapons on the way in as well. He's got the citadel ready to go, not upgrading the leg speed just yet, but of course the leg speed can wait, because if you want it to coincide with the +1, the leg speed needs to start roughly halfway through the +1 weapons upgrade, because of course +1 weapons upgrade is incredibly slow. It takes a very, very long time to kick in, and rightly so, but a decent number of zealots right there means he could mount some good pressure quite soon if he were to get that leg upgrade happening.
Alright, Pike is immediately starting Lurker upgrade from the Hydralisk den, skipping over Hydralisks as we saw Defi do, straight to Lurker tech. And is this the game we see the weird ZVP Lurker Ling bust? Yes, I have to say I do like it in this situation a lot more than when Defi could have potentially done it, but still, it's just not something that's terribly strong for this matchup.
Yeah, it is a little bit weird. I'm pretty sure it's not any kind of turtle, because he's got this weirdly placed 3rd base, so there's pretty much no way he can possibly turtle off that. So yeah, I presume it's either a bust or just a straight up contain, and we'll see in just a second. But these busts can actually be pretty good, having been caught out by them myself a number of times in the past. And we'll see how it's responded to by Must here, but he definitely is getting a decent scout on it, so he should at least not be in the dark.
Yeah, Must does have a scout. He doesn't quite know that the lurkers are on the way, as he hasn't seen any lurkers morphing. He might have been able to guess just based on the fact that there's a lair and not a spire, but he doesn't explicitly know that lurkers are on the way. And oh no, oh wow, Pike making mistakes. Oh wow, okay. Let the Templar get 17 kills and then pull the Zerglings away. Oh man.
That is crucially important if he was planning to do any kind of bust or all in. That is inexpressibly important to have that ling count behind you, and he's got pretty much no lings left now whatsoever. That DT's still in there having a crack at a couple of Hydras. Might be able to get both of these Hydralisks as well. And a pretty major misstep there from Pike. I'm not going to make any bones about it. That's bad stuff for him.
Yeah, that is pretty brutal. And God, losing that many Zerglings. I mean, it's easy to shirk it off and just say, it's Zerglings. But think about it in terms of cost. 18 Zerglings is what, 25 times 18 is 450? 450 minerals? A hatchery and a half.
Yeah, your maths is better than mine.
That's a hatchery and a half worth of minerals. And on top of that, you lose a lot of your map presence. You can't attack an army like this, where normally you'd be able to sweep in with the Zerglings and snipe off the Templar and get like half the Zealots.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty terrible. I mean, look at how effective all those lings would be against this army. It's a pretty small army. He has got +1, so it wouldn't be the be-all and end-all, but nonetheless, those lings would be a big, big help. And of course, no such thing going to be happening here. Nice little bit of a push in. Oh, decent enough storm getting landed on a lot of this Hydras as well, but the lurkers means that this Protest force is going to be pushed back quite simply. I just think what should happen from our Protest player right now from Must is he should just try and maintain map vision. He should maybe get a couple of spotting pylons down and just try and prevent the Zoe from taking fourth anytime soon, because yeah, that's really going to be pretty derisive for Pike.
yeah, I hinted at it earlier. When you take a third base like this, and there is no natural choke point for you to put lurkers at, you defend it with having a big army.
Yeah.
Throwing away 17 Zerglings really makes it hard to have a big army.
Yeah, very, very hard indeed, because that is a significant part of a big army. 17 Zerglings definitely not to be sniffed at any point. It looks like Must is making ready to throw down his third base at the kind of top right hand expansion area. Well, his fourth, I should say. He's already put down a third in the middle of the map situation. Not quite sure why he's done that, because that's once again a little bit vulnerable, especially in PvZ, where often you're under some quite significant pressure and can be outnumbered quite badly in terms of army count at several points during the game. So interesting to see how he plans to hold on to that for a long time. But meanwhile, Pike mounting some kind of force on the left-hand side. Is he going to try and be offensive with this? It's pretty lurker heavy. I would think that if he were going to be trying to do any serious attacks with this, he's going to get stormed to death. But we'll see if he thinks otherwise.
Yeah. Still a very large Zergling presence in that army, considering this stage in the game. We have that Dark Templar. Oh no, there are Overlords coming out. The Dark Templar.
Second Dark Templar.
No, it's not a second Dark Templar. It's the 20th kill.
Is it the same one?
It's the 20th kill Dark Templar.
I'm trying to find. Oh, what a hero! What a hero! Give that man a medal.
Yeah. I mean, he's going around. Gonna be able to stop this expansion down here.
An absolute boss. This is probably going to be his last hurrah, though. I mean, there's Lings coming in, there's an Overlord hanging around. The two Overlords, in fact, that's just overkill. But yeah, might be able to prevent this hatchery from going up. Probably not, though. It looks like the Overlord and Lings will be there in time. Weird how he's sending the Overlord so far ahead of the Lings. We have a little bit of engagement happening in the middle. Might be able to catch some lurkers out. Oh, lovely storm being thrown down on a lot of Hydras and Lings whilst that DT was being super distracting. So while it dies, it does not die in vain. It did one hell of a lot of damage and allowed iFU Must get a pretty decent storm off there as well into the bargain. So a lot of kills accredited to its name. And this is not the greatest position for Pike to be in, I have to say. He's got a pretty wide lurker spread, but it is a thin line indeed. He has so few units backing it up that I feel that Must may be actually able to take this out right now if he chooses to go for it, being a little bit conservative, but I think he might spot his opportunity in just a second. He does have observers hovering over, so he can see what's happening, and indeed in he goes, going with the Zealots as well. Slightly weirdly, I'd have thought he'd just go in with the Dragoons, but he is able to take out so many of these lurkers, and this is a crucially expensive engagement right now for Pike. This is costing him so much cash and so much in terms of his pure army count. And are the reinforcements coming in at just the wrong time, just a little bit too late? He is getting a little bit of a sandwich, however, on the army of Must. Has he pushed too far? Was this too much? And it looks like Must might not quite take the engagement as decisively as he would have liked. Some reinforcements coming in, however, means he's probably going to be able to push back the last of these Hydralisks, and the position of Pike in the middle of the map is broken. I'm not quite sure what he was thinking, keeping himself sat out there in the map for quite so long as that, especially after losing that clump of units to one single storm.
Yeah, the reinforcements still coming in, though. More reinforcements coming up from top, and he will still be able to eventually clean up this Protoss army, but Must did what he needed to do. He killed off a lot. Wow. He won't be able to pick off this Protoss force. I was going to say, he picked off a lot of lurkers and got up his third base. That's all you can hope for as a Protoss army at this stage of the game. But
yeah, I'm really surprised though that he's not pushing down towards the bottom left-hand corner. He could really take out that base so easily right now. That he's done a great job of maintaining that position in the middle of the map. All he needs to do is go down and take that out, and Pike is suddenly in a lot of trouble at that point. I don't know why he isn't doing that. I don't know why else he would be fighting in the middle of the map in that situation at this point of the game. If he weren't planning on taking out that base, it looks like he will now maybe make his move down there and get rid of that, and I think that that's the best situation he could hope for.
Yeah. That base is looking rather vulnerable now that there are so few lurkers to defend it, and Must is moving down. Still a very nice army composition, even if it is a little bit on the small side, and Pike just moving through it, going to even lose some drones. as his army's gearing up into position, he's bringing a lot of forces to try to defend the zealots that were taking out the base at the far left. The zealots will be cleaned up, but they did do a good amount of damage, and there's still this army looming, threatening to attack the third base of Pike. I don't think it's going to be quite enough, though, now with the lurkers down.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be able to. I really wouldn't fancy his chances. I mean, he'd need
coming in.
Oh my god, there are a lot of Dragoons coming in. Okay, having said that, and having seen that Dragoon count, I definitely think he can do it. He should pull back with his Zealots. He should not be sending the Zealots in. He can take care of this entirely with his Dragoons and then keep the Zealots for later. Ah, but his one single observer gets sniped off, so that's going to be that for that pressure. And losing a lot of Zealots unnecessarily, once again, I feel it would have been much more advantageous to him to just keep all the Zealots back and just use Dragoons to try and break, and that could be quite bad for him. He runs the strong risk of getting sandwiched right now, and this may finally be where Pike finally manages to deal with this army from Must, and it looks like that is going to be it. A lot of expensive Dragoons going down. This nice storm managed to take out all those reinforcing lings and might be able to deal with most of these Hydras as well, but that is curtains finally for this single army, which has been doing so much damage and causing so much trouble to poor Pike. A lot of probes weirdly bugging out on the right hand side, but this has enabled Must to get a fourth base up and mining, so he should have a strong economy under his belt right now, and macroing well too. Plenty of gateways up and running, and he's able to start really pumping units now seriously.
It's usually after an engagement like that where you see the supplies of the Zerg and Protoss start to get pretty similar. And
Oh, Storm drop bottom left.
Yeah, I caught it.
Good.
And the supplies of the Zerg and Protoss start to get rather similar, and the Zerg can start to get a little bit of advantage, maybe even actually come out outright ahead. But now the supplies are still in the Protoss' advantage by about 40. Despite him losing his entire army. It's, Protoss has 5 bases up compared to Zerg now getting Zerg's 5th base up. It's just not looking good at all for Pike here.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, if he loses this bottom left-hand corner, then it's looking seriously, desperately bad. I think Must should really try and push the issue there. He should keep harassing it, because if that goes down, it is bad times. Ooh, High Templar deciding to live in peace with the Zerglings over on the left-hand side there, and that's always good to see when the units just decide to put their differences aside and coexist in that fashion. But yeah, these bottom left-hand corners are what are keeping Pike in the game, and they've been looking weak for a long time. Must, I do think he had a strong opportunity to get rid of them earlier in the game, which he didn't quite take, and which he's probably regretting right now. But even so, his economy is in good shape, and he's still got some fairly good presence on the map as well, with observers, zealots, etc. dotted around. So this game is by no means going to be too difficult for him to win, and Pike still has some uphill struggling to go.
A large Protoss force moving around through the main by the 4th base.
Ooh. Oh.
And going to try to sneak into the main, it looks like. The minerals have already been mined out.
Yeah, and this could really completely hollow out the Zerg if he manages to get in there, and I don't think it's going to be spotted, not at least for quite some time. He's going to get a lot of units into the main before it gets noticed, and he will only see it when they hit that hatchery, which is already a little bit too late, because he can just block at the bottom of this ramp. But this is going to be so incredibly difficult for Pike to deal with. A beautiful move by Must, and we'll see how this pans out. Meanwhile, all Pike's units are completely away at sea, and now he starts to realize the danger, and now he has a tall order ahead of him. He has to push down a very, very small choke point in the form of that ramp and get in and save his main, but he's going to lose a lot of stuff there. He's going to lose some drones, he's going to lose his hive, he's going to lose his spawning pool and his queen's nest as well, and maybe that evolution chamber before that upgrade finishes. And this is seriously bad for Pike. Nice storm being thrown down onto the ramp. Will he be able to get those ultras in? Are those ultras sim-citied out? No, they are nearly sim-citied out, but not quite. He is able to slowly filter them through, storming the own observer there. Must in a little bit of a mistake, whereas he really would benefit from having an observer, but more nice storms going down, taking care of a lot of the lurkers. One lurker does manage to burrow down, so that's going to make life slightly tricky for a Protoss player, but he does have another observer in already. And even if his force does go down right here, he has done so much damage and seriously pulled Pike quite badly out of position. I'm surprised that he isn't using up the storm. He has a 200 High Templar right there, which he wasn't using, and that could have made all the difference in this engagement, but it will go down without using up the vast majority of his storm. And a little bit of a let-off there from Pike. Evolution Chamber does manage to finish his upgrade, and whilst he has lost a fair amount of tech, he hasn't lost anything too serious. A simultaneous attack coming in on the left-hand side, but all those zealots are going to go down if he goes too far in. There are well-placed lurkers in order to deal with such an attack. And not doing the damage he possibly could have done there. Pike reacted quite well, but there is still one Zealot in the main base, doing a little bit of fun and games, taking out some extra drones.
Yeah, the Ultra Cavern has been done for a while, but he still doesn't have his Ultralisk upgrades, and he's not getting them. I'm not sure why. Maybe he just hasn't had the minerals for it. He certainly has the gas.
He has the cash. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't.
Anyway, with Pike realizing that there is now a gap there, he might try to attack. He might try to attack Must's 4th base, or at least consider it. Must now has a lot of cannons there, though. Certainly nothing that a Defiler couldn't easily handle.
Yeah, well, if you got one Defiler, then one Ling is all you need, and you're pretty much set to win everything. And Must trying his hand at maybe a little bit more aggression here, going to try and have a crack at this bottom left-hand base once again. He can probably do this. Imagine he take out the one Scourge, which was laying in wait for any observer snipes. And if he positions himself carefully and patiently, he can get this, but he does have to be a little bit more patient than this. Rushing in with Speed Zealots is not going to be the way forward right here. He's going to lose a lot of units very, very quickly, and that force dwindled incredibly fast, keeping back a fair number of his units, but Ultras are going to be able to deal with what he has there pretty easily. A sad lack of high gas units such as Archons and High Templar in this army right now.
Ooh, accidentally double storming there, and taking out the Ultralisks. I don't know. Protoss just has so much map control at this point. I don't think that Zerg can get the ball rolling to really start to generate momentum. I mean, Protoss even taking buildings that are on Zerg's half of the map, bases that are on Zerg's half of the map at this point.
Will the cannons work on the right hand side? We have a Zerg assault coming in. It looks like the cannons will be enough. Storming a single Ultralist, I'm not entirely sure that that's cost effective, but it does the job. Most of these cannons surviving, and a large Zerg assault getting taken down. Managing to trick out that Ultralist by making a cannon pretty much directly on top of it. Pretty sick stuff, and actually managing to keep that base alive, and that's the benefit of having lots and lots of cannons, ladies and gentlemen. Always make loads of cannons, and a good number of High Templar there just ready and waiting. Should be able to clean up the rest of the Zerg force as it comes in with copious amounts of Storm, as long as he uses it. Will he use his Storm before this base bites the dust? Please use your Storm. He's getting a little bit distracted on the left-hand side by a big assault that's going in, and he will be able to take out this bottom left-hand natural expansion if he marks this carefully. Oh, 2 High Templar going down in 1. It looks like he's just run out of steam down there, and he's going to lose that right-hand base as well, so this could be a pretty rapid swing against our Protoss player Must. A lot of probes going down there when they didn't necessarily need to do so, storming his own probe line, but there are no probes left anyway, so it doesn't really matter a huge amount. But that base is gone. It is dead and buried. Almost managing to bust all the way into this bottom left-hand corner, but not quite doing so. He probably could do it right now with the remainder of his army. Reinforcements coming in possibly to do that, and that seems a little bit unnecessary to lose the right-hand base. Whilst it was probably beneficial to have a crack at the bottom left-hand as well, he could have lain down a few storms before he left.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that Pike has been able to do this, but a great defense over on the left side, a good attack over on the right side is getting him back into this game. It's going to be hard for him to take another... He doesn't have a whole lot of expansion opportunities, but he does have that 6 o'clock expansion that there's no way Must can touch. Way down at the bottom there, that's a possibility. Must trying to push in once again, that he can't quite get through the Ultralisks. They do have their armor upgrade.
Yeah, and Pure Zealots are really bad against Ultras. I mean, they just do so little damage, and we can see how quickly they go down as well. Ultras are super, super good. So that puts an end to another attack from Must. Meanwhile, though, Pike is looking a little bit short on cash. We can see that the kind of middle base is getting a little bit low. His natural's mined out. His main is almost entirely mined out. To all intents and purposes, it is mined out. So this relegates him basically to 3 bases, whilst Must also looking a little bit strapped for money quite soon. He's got 2 well mining bases, but if he can get that right-hand base up again, he is probably good to go. But for the time being, he is in a significant amount of danger. Another big attack coming in from Pike right now. That's a lot of Ultralisks, and they're backed up by Swarm this time as well, which makes them incredibly scary. And I think this base is going to be absolute toast any second now for Must. So he's going to be forced back onto only 2 mining bases. Only one of them mining in any way properly. One of them very almost completely mined out. That is a scary number of Ultralisks to have to deal with. Does he have the high gas units? He doesn't have enough high gas units. He has no Archons on the map whatsoever. He just has a smattering of High Templar and some Zealots to back it up. Now finally making some Archons, but I think it may be too little too late.
Yeah, it looks like Must is about to get a taste of his own medicine, as there are some cracklings lining up to go for an attack, or they can take out the temples too, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't know why you don't just go through the hole, but that's fine. The result's going to be the same. They're going to try to get over there and take out some of Must's tech. And once he executes that attack, it certainly looks like he might be able to do some damage. There is a DT over there, a couple of DTs that can see that the attack is coming. He has a little bit of time to prepare a defense, but he is moving out with his units. No, now turning around. He is going to be able to deal with that properly.
Yeah, this was a quick fall from grace for Must. He went from being in a very, very nice situation to being in an absolutely terrible situation. We can see that the Zerg is now starting to really cover the map, and not a second too soon for him, because if this had gone much longer, then he was going to find himself quite short of money. But Must now in an incredibly tough position. He's got units streaming into the back of his base, which he can probably deal with, but still not too much of a simple task, because that gateway is now open forever. And yeah, he just probably doesn't have the resources to really carry this on for much longer. Pike going in the front as well, trying to get the full sandwich on all of the rest of Must's stuff, and Pike now just has complete map control, and he has the complete aggression over his opponent right here, going to this base. For now, our Protoss player is going to hold up, but I'm not quite sure how much longer he's going to be able to do so. He is looking quite short of money, although he still has a fairly big bank, but yeah, definitely a disadvantage when before he was looking so keen to take this game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very surprising that Pike was able to really mount the comeback, but now things looking dire for Must. Elite 8 DT Hitman squad coming down on the left side, going to be able to take out this base very quickly. That is a lot of DTs.
DTs are good.
Yeah, I mean,
especially at this stage of the game. I mean, it's often decent to make quite a few DTs, because they take down Ultras faster than pretty much anything apart from Reavers, which notably he hasn't made a single one of, which I'm surprised about, because it would really help him against that Dark Swarm. But yeah, these DTs might actually be able to take out a fair number of these units here. On their own, they don't fare so incredibly well, but look at how they cut through Ultralisks. I mean, nothing else kills Ultralisks like that. It's really quite incredible.
Yep. But ultimately, Pike will be able to clean that up. He does cost him the base, and that's really what Must was looking for there. Now, what does the mining look like? There is really one mining base for Pike. One seriously saturated mining base for Pike.
And same for Must.
And it's about to go down. Huge storm on the mineral line. Huge storms on the mineral line. 2 of them taking out 8 drones each. And that is a lot of Archons. Will he be able to take down the hatchery?
It looks like he should be able to take down the hatchery. Yeah, it's a lot of Archons, but they're all going to die. So unless he takes down this hatchery, he probably won't have another Kraken's hit. And it looks like he's not going to focus it down, so that hatchery is going to survive. Not that there are many drones to really resaturate that base, but the hatchery stays up. And the Zerg still has a fairly good standing army. Protoss is still reinforcing, though, Must with more units streaming in. He has finally spent the last of his bank, though. We can see his minerals coming in an absolute trickle beam. He might be able to hold out against this next assault from the Zerg player, in which case he might be able to push on all the way through to the bottom left-hand corner. Probably not, though. Zerg has a significant bank as well, which he has now managed to spend, so plenty of Ultralisks coming back in, and that might be decisive, because neither player really has the ability to make too much more. Double storming right there, and actually wasting a little bit of storm, and it looks like the last of his army is going to get surrounded. Must so close, but I think he's going to start losing his grip right here. He's coming in with reinforcements, but they are going to be way too late to actually save his army, which is now entirely being defeated. And Pike still with a controlling position in the game, only just though.
I don't even know if that's that controlling. He's behind by 30 supply. He has one mining base, one well-saturated mining base that only has 3 drones at it, and then there are 4 drones over on the other side. He hasn't been able to rebuild the hatchery that was taken down. I don't know why he hasn't expanded that 6 o'clock. It's been there the entire game, just never got around to it, but that's a very safe base if he needs one, and he desperately does. And Must is only on 1 base? But that base is safe. I don't think there's a way that Pike can get up there. He would need to orchestrate a really strong Ultraling Defiler combination that would be the entire extent of his army, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, Zerg just has this talent of affording quite a lot of not very much stuff, so I'm always very, very skeptical of when they're on low money. They always seem to somehow still manage to pull out the big guns and still manage to pull out a decent number of units. I mean, we can see he's still maintaining a good army. He's got at least 8 or so ultras in the mix right there. He's got defilers as well, I think, somewhere.
That's definitely worth pointing out that Pike has 100 supply, but has so few drones that it's actually like 80 supply in army. So it's not quite as low as that would indicate it is. But I don't know.
I mean,
Zerg,
most of that supply difference is in workers.
Zerg, I always feel this is a dangerous position for Zerg, because Zerg can't be horribly cost efficient. There are no engagements where Zerg loses almost nothing. You always have to throw away units to get anywhere. So when Zerg starts to get really, really low, it's it can be really hard, especially remaking all these expensive units. He cannot remake this many Ultralists and this many Lurkers if he makes a mistake and allows them to die. But it is a very strong army.
Yeah, it really, really is. I mean, this could be a decent push, though, from Must. I think he's a little bit misguided in pushing through all these Lurkers. He lost a High Templar or two in the mix there quite needlessly. The Observer coming a little bit late. He's going to be able to take care of all these Lurkers, but he will not be able to take care of the Ultralists as they pour back up. He does manage to deal with a good amount of the defense, so that's softened this position up quite well and forced all the drones to pull off, so temporarily completely stopping mining at that base, but his army is forced to pull back. I'm surprised he doesn't have Reavers, though. Reavers would make so much difference here. I mean, imagine if he had 2 Reavers backing up this army. It would be really a lot scarier than it currently is. Looking like he's making ready to make another Nexus there as well, which he might just be able to hold if he is lucky against this particular assault, but I don't think he has the units. 2 Archons, 2 Dragoons and 2 Zealots is not going to be enough to do this. He needs to pull back. He needs to maintain every last scrap that he possibly can. He needs to make one more stand at these cannons and then pull back even further, because 2 cannons is not going to be enough, especially not under Dark Swarm. So Must will lose the position, will lose that Nexus as it's warping in too. He should definitely cancel that out, because can he possibly save it? Oh, some Zealot pressure coming in bottom left-hand corner. Will he be able to get in and take out that hatchery? That could be incredibly decisive if he can take out that hatchery, having sneaked round the back. Very, very nice move from him. The hatchery will go down. It looks like it definitely will, storming on a good number of drones and a good number of the Ultralists as well. So that was a fantastic move for a Must, and that puts him straight back in contention. This is on a knife edge. Yeah,
Pike is not mining at all. That 403 minerals is not moving, and he needs 300 to be able to make the hatchery as he does. So he has 100 minerals to play around with for the next 60 seconds or so. He now needs to be very careful about how he uses his units. He cannot afford to allow them to go. At the same time, he cannot let Must get this expansion up. Oh, he has to use that Defiler so well right here.
Yeah, but he's having to consume lings, and he can't make more lings. That's his lot. That is absolutely all he gets. So he's just trying to push the Protest player back, but I don't know if it can be decisive. Must still has cash coming in. He's still mining well off one base, and he's still producing units. And Pike is on his last legs right now. That was a beautiful move from Must right there, going around the back to get rid of that hatchery with Zealots. Quite inspired play. And now he's making that Nexus again. That Nexus has gone up and down so many times, I kind of lose track of it. Somehow more lings coming in, finding the extra gear now. Pike just trying to do absolutely all he can. He's going to lose a Lurker very, very unnecessarily there. That's a very expensive Lurker at this stage, considering that he has literally no cash on the way in, consuming up more lings and just trying to do the last scrap of possible damage to this army as Must comes in with more reinforcements. He has Zealots, which do of course function correctly under Dark Swarm, where little else does. He storms out his own Observer, though. Not quite sure that he needed to do that. He does still have one more left. Fighting under Dark Swarm is not good, but GG from Pike. Must takes it, and what some would say against the odds.
Why did Pike not take 6 o'clock?
I don't know.
Must could not have been able to organize that much aggression against the 6 o'clock base. It was so damn far away.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, game 2 as we log back into Fish.
Alright. Yeah, that was good stuff from Must. I mean, several points. I thought Pike was going to take it, but yeah, it was a lot of backwards and forwards, but yeah, Must quite impressive in the end.
replays in. Game is hosted. Alright. So, rather safe assumption we'll have another PVZ.
Yep. Yep.
Just a matter of which of LRM's many Zerg players it will be.
Let's find out.
Alright.
I'm ready to go when you are.
Let's go. Game number 2 of LRM versus iFU.
Cool. I'll let you do the shoutouts. I won't interfere. You got it.
Alright. In the top left position, we have iFU Must as the green Protoss. And in the bottom right, we have LRM True Touch. A new LRM edition. No capital T. True Tax. There we go. That's it, right? That's it. Okay. You have True Touch as the purple Zerg.
Cool.
Alright.
Is there any fancy video thing
I
happening?
do not have a fancy video for True Touch.
Good.
No.
That worked to my advantage. Weirdly.
No.
Sort of. So yeah, gonna have another bit of fun PVZ action, and I'm hoping this one doesn't last as long as the last one, because if they all last that long, it is going to be a long time before Elegant gets any sleep. Which, you know, is like 50% alright, 50% bad. It's not too bad for me commentating like into the wee hours at the moment, because I'm actually away this weekend to sort out my student room, so I'm basically just sat in this empty room ready to move out with just a laptop. So it's a bit depressing if I wouldn't do anything else. So casting until like midnight is actually quite good for me at this stage. But yeah, hopefully something a little more concise than last time, because Must, you know, those guys really dragged that out.
Alright. Looks like True Touch will be going for the 12 hatch. If you are, if you don't know who True Touch is a Polish Zerg player, known as being a very talented 2v2 player. Excuse me, a very talented 2v2 player, and since he's a 2v2 player, he is very keen on early aggression, specifically with Lings, but he has excellent early game micro, and really likes to put the pressure on early. So I think where Pike kind of tried to be aggressive last game, and it never kind of got going until very late in the game, and even then he was just playing it more defensively. True Touch will not play in that style. He will be aggressive out of the gate, and I would not be surprised to see a very large number of early Lings.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. And it all depends, of course, on how well prepared our Protest player is for that. I quite like his pylon positioning. He's going to have quite a deep wall in here, which is important on this kind of map where the choke isn't too nicely sealed off. More you usually see players make the pylon on the bottom, I think. I don't know, is that a block between the pylon and the forge? Surely it can't be.
No.
I don't think pylon's blocked with anything except minerals and citadel, maybe? It's kind of a bit of a stab in the dark. I know they block with something like that, one of those weird tech buildings, because occasionally I get a probe stuck in the back of my base.
If very specific buildings to the right of pylons will block, but absolutely nothing to the left of a pylon will block.
Yeah, pylons are pretty crappy for blocking. They're pretty much the worst thing you could possibly have. Unlike the Spire, which blocks with everything. Godlike.
I don't know what the walling properties of a Spire is.
They wall with everything on all sides.
They wall with everything on all sides?
They're super godly, but they have no health, so it doesn't really matter. The drone doing some serious damage to Mr. Pylon right now. Look at that, taking nearly half the health off the Pylon before it is forced to dash home. And the Ling's now on the way in too. Wonder if he's going to try some sort of run by. It looks like he might, with only one cannon there. Why not indeed? Very quick with the probe pull. He might be able to block most of these Lings out of the base. Nice probe pull right there, managing to keep all but two of these Lings out, and one of them did actually take a few hits on his way in, so this is not too much of a tricky situation for our Protoss player, but it still can be a little bit of a pain in the ass. It's very, very easy to start losing probes, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, because he's already lost one probe, might lose a second one here as well, and he's forced to pull a lot of them off mining and stack them up over the bottom of the minerals just to try and preserve as many as possible. So these lings probably paying for themselves in the long term. Might manage to get another probe kill, excuse me, here as well, and maybe even a third if Must is not extremely careful. So True Touch right away trying to exert a little bit of dominance, and whilst we were slightly wrong in thinking there would be a lot of lings coming in, there is some kind of early aggression as we would expect to see from True Touch. Must losing another probe right here. He can't afford to lose another one. This is an incredible blunder if he does lose another one. It looks like True Touch might actually fancy going back for that, as it is on only 1 or 2 hit points from a ling. But yeah, nice little bit of a windfall there from True Touch after losing a lot of his lings on the way into the base.
And he's going to get another.
Oh,
wow.
Man.
Must has let a lot of these probes die with only 2 lings getting into the base.
And I'm unhappy about that. That shouldn't have happened. From a player of Must's caliber, he should know better than to let that happen. I mean, yeah, there's really no good reason why it should. He's going to try a little bit of pressure with the Zealot, so he might be able to kind of win some of his money back with that, but it's not usually the case. Going to have a crack at these drones in the bottom left-hand corner, but a few more lings morphing in means that that's going to be dealt with. Going into the Zerg's Natural as well, he's able to take out 1 drone, but for the cost of a Zealot, I don't need to tell you that that's not cost effective. In the bottom left-hand corner, managing to take out 1, maybe 2. He's going to definitely be able to take care of these lings before the rest come in from the right-hand side, forcing the pull of those drones, which is decent enough, but I don't think it's going to be anything too decisive after his significant early losses to only 2 lings getting into his main. First Corsair is now out, and Must manage to take it at a decent rate.
Yep. In fact, that Zealot does go down, and we are seeing a substantial number of lings coming up from True Touch. That's more than a control group. Speed is done. So we might see attempt number 2. It's not as if Must has built up a lot of cannons, and he sent out his initial 2 Zealots. So he doesn't have a whole lot out on the field. It's just the 1 Zealot and 1 cannon.
Oh.
Excuse me, 2 Zealots and 1 cannon to try to block this. But the Zerglings are easily going to be able to get around.
Oh no, Must! Why were you not blocking with those probes after the lings had already got the surround on the cannon? He could have done so much better there, but there's so many lings right now all over his probes. We saw what 2 do, and what can 6, 7, 8 or so lings actually do to this probe line, and they're going to be able to do so much damage, managing to snipe out so many with a smart bout of micro from True Touch, getting a little bit stuck right there, and 2 of his lings will go down quite easily. But Must is once again taking more hefty damage. He is doing some good roving action with his Corsair, managing to take out a few overlords and might be able to do some good damage to his opponent here with that. A lot of these lings now going down. They might be able to take care of that cannon. No, they probably won't. So that was actually, funnily enough, probably equally as much damage as the earlier 2 lings did to the probe count of Must, which is weird.
You know, there's a short list of players when you play against, you build 2 cannons. You just absolutely should build 2 cannons. You should build 2 cannons versus Zeke. Just do it.
Yeah.
You should do it versus South Park. True Touch is definitely on that list of players you should just build 2 cannons against, because he will do it over and over and over and over, and it's just how 2v2 players work. It's what they do.
Yeah, and he's proven that beyond any doubt. I would actually build 3, maybe 5 cannons against Zeke just to survive as long as possible, because there's no way in hell I'm ever going to win that game. But yeah, your point is taken.
Well, True Touch has a Spire up, but he hasn't gone for Mutalisks. I actually haven't even seen Scourge from him, but they might have taken out that Corsair that was roving around earlier. Has switched into his Hydralisks, and really, Must is looking pretty weak in terms of holding off a Hydralisk bust if True Touch really wanted to continue the aggression here.
Yeah, it's not looking good for him at all. I mean, even the cannon positioning, I think that this pretty much the entire wall would go down before the cannons would even have range on the Hydralisks, apart from that 1 cannon at the front, but that would be easily taken out. First DT is now popping out, and whilst Must's tech was actually kind of timed well, he hasn't really got cleanly to this level. I mean, he's lost a lot of time and a lot of probes just kind of here and there, and it's resulted in him actually having pretty delayed pressure of any kind out on the map. And while he's done some good action with his Corsairs, again, it's not quite decisive enough. There is a DT heading down to the bottom left, however, so we can see if he can do any good damage with that, but there is an Overlord ready and waiting for him. Might be able to grab a few drone kills for his money, but he'd need a little bit more than that, because DTs are, of course, quite an investment. The big Hydra Bust now looking about ready to start making its mark. Might be able to take out that front cannon without too much calamity. He loses a couple of Hydras for his trouble, but as I previously said, he may be able to get a good position on this wall. So almost managing to snipe out that High Templar, but a good quick probe pull from Must is able to deal with that at the very least.
These Hydras are having a lot of trouble focusing on the units they need to focus on, and True Touch has thrown away a lot of them unnecessarily. Still managing.
Yeah, he is having some issues.
Still managing to not take out that gateway.
That was a little bit bizarre. He kind of focused on the gateway while the Zealots were attacking him, and then continues to do so, and as a result he lost a fair number of his Hydras, but it's okay because he got a fourth coming in. So Must is going to be put quite behind economically quite soon if he doesn't get some action going on the map. 65 supply as well versus 62 for the Zerg, so this is a good position for Zerg to be in where supply count is equal, and he's just trying to establish some kind of contain so he can get the proper map control and get his fourth running without calamity. Not quite sure if something happened down at the bottom left just then, because the drones looked a bit out of position. Did you see anything?
At the bottom left there was a DT.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it was
Probably didn't do too much.
It was killed off. It got 2 drone kills.
Yeah, meh. That's alright. 2 is acceptable, especially when you're Zerg and you can just have like 20 at once. Not that you'd want to.
So, True Touch does have the double Evo chambers, so he should be nice and fine on upgrades going into later parts of the game. Lurker upgrade on the way, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a contain here. I think he's in a great position for it, being on 4 bases, and with how passive Must is forced to be.
Yeah. Yeah, he's forced to be super passive right now, just because everything about his game was delayed so far. He hasn't been able to get that all-important speed zealot timing, which means he can break out with speed zealots pretty much at the time where he can still beat Hydras basically straight up with just unit count, which of course he can't do now. And he won't be able to do for a little while yet, and he's going to need some seriously good storms if he's going to be able to take on the army of True Touch at any point. And he's got a long road ahead of him. He's trying to build up a decent gateway count, because that's pretty much all he can do at this moment in time to just catch True Touch at that all-important moment before he gets all that good, godly hive tech up.
Looks like Must accidentally pulled himself in with an extra pylon.
Cool.
But
all the best players do it. I don't think he was walled in, because meh, I don't know, maybe I would have thought he could have got through the cannons and then down out underneath the gateway, but maybe not. He knows more than I do, I'm sure.
Anyway, Must, I mean, he's destroying the pylon, he's trying to move out, but that is not a very strong looking army compared to the force True Touch has, and then he could easily fall back to a Sim City if he did need to, if Must got some ridiculously good storms off. I think this is kind of a dangerous move for Must here, to move so far. If he moves forward with that army, it could be easily surrounded. Yeah,
True Touch is really committed to the mid-game army here. He hasn't tried to transition his tech too quickly or anything, so he's got really a pretty serious number of units coming out, and as the engagement happens, Must is definitely going to be forced back. There's no two ways about it. He cannot take on this army right now, and he does have observers up, but that runs the risk of getting scourged quite easily by a Zerg player, since he only has 1 observer and there are 2 Scourge and an Overlord in there as well. Will he get some decent storms? There are some nice storms happening on these Hydralisks. So doing some good damage, but as I thought it probably would, the Overlord does get scourged out, and while the Overlord, the Observer does get scourged out, and while the Overlord might go down, it doesn't matter because he's already done the damage, and Must is contained to his natural for a little bit longer, and True Touch is going to be able to continue expanding and keep tightening the noose.
Yep, True Touch's hive has been done, his Defiler Mound is done. Does he have an Ultra Scout run on the way?
I don't know. I'm looking for one. Defiler Mound. He's got a Defiler Mound.
He does have the Defiler Mound. Doesn't have any Defilers with the army quite yet, which always bothers me a little bit when I see Zerg players attacking with an army and they have the Defiler Mound but no Defilers in it. But as long as he keeps it in this position, then he's making the right move. If you can contain your opponent and stall them out until the Defilers come out, then lots of good things can happen. True Touch taking a 5th base. Oh.
Sorry, big storms happening out at the outside the natural expansion Must right now. He still doesn't have another observer Not quite sure if something happened to it, but he's going to have to pull back once again because he cannot see the lurkers. Will he be able to get some good storms down? He gets a halfway decent storm down, sacrificing the rest of the Hydras to try and snipe out those High Templar, but they were already empty anyway and only managing to get one in the end. But Must will now be able to get that third base up, which is very, very important, of course, but I feel that his window of opportunity is closing. He's just kind of maybe going to be able to break through here. He is definitely able to push the Zerg back, but will he be able to get to either the natural expansion or the third base before the Zerg is too strong, before he has all that hive tech up, and before he has managed to recollect himself properly? We do finally have Consume on the way in. The double evolution chamber is working at double time. And Must is probably going to have to take a little bit of a back seat for a little bit longer here. I don't think he's going to be able to do any big bursts on the Zerg.
Yeah, I definitely have faith in True Touch's SimCity here. Still don't see any Defilers, which is annoying. But he might not need him in the end. The army's going to come down and get a very nice angle on this. And Must has no High Templar, which means this is going to be a easy victory for True Touch, getting those Lings in all among the Dragoons and Zealots, and should be able to clear them up. Not going to quite... Yep, they will.
Yeah, he will, and it costs him nothing but Lings as well, which are practically free. I mean, not quite free, obviously, but in the same way as Vultures are practically free. I mean, you can use them up pretty much as you wish, as long as you kill some stuff with them. And Must try to reinforce, but I don't think he has the capability to really do that. He's trying to push True Touch's army back, and whilst he's macroed well, he's kept his minerals nice and low. He does run the risk of losing his third base if a Defiler comes in now. I'm looking around for a Defiler. I'm not seeing one. I see Ultralisks, although I didn't notice the Ultralisk cabin, but he'll still probably be able to break that 12 o'clock base anyway, just using the power of the Ultralisk. And he's going to be able to take out the left-hand side on his way, just as a by-the-by.
Man, I don't get why Zerg players don't do Defilers. I guess he's from the South Park school of ZVP. Oh, okay, there is a Defiler, a lone Defiler, which is more than South Park builds.
Yeah.
Oh, South Park.
Not the biggest fan of Defilers, but the crackling upgrade is very well done. And he's just going to be able to force the Protoss back continually right now. So Must has lost all of his map presence, lost his left-hand base, and might lose his 12 o'clock base quite soon as well, if that Defiler manages to actually make its way anywhere near the engagement.
Yep, it is certainly not looking good for him. Once the Defiler gets there, the third base is completely gone. The natural has High Templar, so there's a chance, but not a very big one.
No,
and
not at all. Yeah, this is a horrible position for Must to be in. He doesn't have the economy to really compete. He hasn't maintained his army throughout the game, so he hasn't got all those nice high gas units that you get if you manage to keep your army alive and keep good engagements happening and pulling back at necessary times, so you keep your High Templar count high. He's lost them pretty much every count, so he just doesn't have that backbone that you need to compete with Zerg at this stage of the game. So he's going to lose his 12 o'clock Nexus, and at this point he knows it is all over and GG's out. So True Touch will manage to take Must down, and that, I believe, is going to be 1-1 between these two teams.
Yep. There we go. So, I just downloaded Game 3. We will be able to move into that Winners League format. True Touch moves on, and iFU, I don't know who iFU has. They have a nice roster of players. I just don't know which ones of them showed up and which ones of them are active. Game is hosted.
On my way. Cool. I'm in. Yeah, I'm curious to see who they send out in this particular match. I mean, True Touch is a worrying guy, but he's by no means unbeatable, and IFU do have the power. If I were going to choose anyone from their team to beat him, I wouldn't have chosen Must, and that's no disrespect to Must, but I feel that they do have stronger players than he in order to take on some of these guys from LRM. So yeah, we'll see what they go with. But Must definitely proving his worth, managing to get one kill to his name, and getting IFU off to a good start.
Mm-hmm. True Touch also proving his worth, getting at least one win in his LRM debut. And
But it's far from over for him.
all right, in the top right
Cryok.
position we have Cryok. Who? Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Cryok's one of these guys who only recently has been a first string player. I mean, I remember the days when he really wasn't able to compete with these guys, but now he's really making a big effort. We've seen him in show matches recently, so I'm going to be really, really interested to see what he breaks out here and whether he can really compete with the best of them.
Yeah. In terms of caliber, Cryok definitely not up on the True Touch must Pike level, but he has beaten some of these guys before. True Touch isn't exactly very good TVZ, and I'm guessing that was the decision, because a lot of the other LRM players like Bach or you or Cole are very nice versus Terran. But I think that True Touch has a real weakness, and if you're going to use Cryok, I think that this is the right time to use him. But man, I have seen way too many games where True Touch wins with a 9 pull.
Yeah. And
just kills
I
Terran.
agree with your assessment. This is a good point at which to throw out Cryok, because I mean, he's relatively inexperienced compared to the rest of these guys. So putting him out in game 2, game 3 rather, I should say, in an all-kill format, means that he gets some good experience, and it's not everything on the line. So I think this is a pretty good shout from the iFU guys, and he can pull out good games. I mean, he's a good player and he works hard to improve. So I'd feel very, very bad for writing him off, and I really do want to see what he does. But I think game 2. I keep saying that game 3 is the ideal spot for him in this particular clan war. And to be honest, I hope he does well, because I like seeing these new players come up. I think it makes for interesting watching.
Alright, True Touch not going with a 9 pool, which surprises me just a little bit. Instead going for a 12 hatch once again. And Cryok. Cryok falls into the trap a little bit of having absolutely no variety to his play. I don't think that there is a single TVZ I've casted of his where he did not go 5 racks with +1 timing attack into mech. He likes that build a lot.
Yeah, that's the risk of being a predictable player. But, you know, once again, he might have got something different up his sleeve for that. But yeah, it's really bad to be too predictable. I wouldn't imagine that he will have too little in his arsenal. He is being put out in an all-kill format, so you'd imagine he'd have a few things prepared at least. So maybe he'll be breaking out something different for us.
Alright. Well, excuse me, True Touch has thrown down his 3rd hatchery. It looks like it's going to be standard. Excuse me, it looks like it's going to be standard 3-hatch Mutalisk from him, which Cryok obviously has a lot of experience against, as he takes his relatively fast command center, just the 1 rack set fate. He is though, he is delaying the gas a little bit more than normal. Normally he will get the gas before the command center and start the +1 earlier, instead waiting until after the command center goes down. Normally he takes that really fast gas, but still a reasonably fast gas. Certainly too fast for an academy, and we can now see the engineering base started. So yeah, start the +1, get it out just a little bit before lurkers finish in that nice little window. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from Cryok here. I don't know if this is what he does every time or if he's playing to the opponent, but he has SCVs pulled to block a possible Zergling attack. Which
and perfectly timed as well. Which did very, very well timed.
Yeah, what we talked about last time, it's something that you should just do versus True Touch. A lot of his game plan involves around Zergling pressure, so you should be a little bit overcautious in defending against it.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right, and he had a good SimCity, he had a good block, and the bunker is now up, so it's going to be hard work if True Touch wants to get in here. I think he'd have a lot to do. I mean, he probably could if he really wanted to, but I'm not sure how convincing it would be. So Cryok should be feeling quite comfortable now and quite cozy, tucked away in his main base there behind Mr. Bunker. And yeah, the academy on the way up now as well. And I am curious to see what he does. I reiterate again that I do enjoy seeing slightly newer players come up and seeing what they can do against the big old names like True Touch. He's been around for at least as long as I've been commentating, and no doubt significantly longer than that. It's always a little bit of tasty drama if someone can come out and put up a good show against him.
Yeah. Will she expect to see him potentially move out just as the Mutalisks hatch? Then it's a little game of cat and mouse where both players can do a lot of damage if either the Mutalisks or the Marines are caught out of position. But ultimately, Cryoc will probably be the one who pulls back and tries to defend against the Mutalisk. Cryoc doesn't tend to fall into the trap that some Terran players do when going for 4 or 5 racks with +1. In that, when you go for this many Marines, you don't need as many turrets, obviously. You have Marines to do that. But you still do need some turrets, and it's not terribly uncommon to see Terran players just completely skip turrets altogether, and then get killed by the Mutalisks even though they have that many Marines.
Yeah, it wouldn't be unusual, because you just don't have the maneuverability, especially when the natural is, as this one is, you can't get anything behind those minerals apart from a couple of missile turrets. So they're absolutely essential in terms of beating back those Mutalisks, and I'm sure Cryoc will know this and will prepare accordingly. The Spire is not yet up, so he does have a little bit of time in which to do so, and of course a really good Terran will always leave it until the absolute painful last second to get his defences prepared. So he does still have a little bit of time available to him. Macro nicely managing to keep all his barracks lit up at all times. And we also have True Touch making ready to throw down third base in the bottom left-hand corner, so it doesn't look like he's going to be going too heavily all in on the 2-base meter. We can already see he's hatched a fair number of drones and is making up a Hydra's den as well, so he's going to be fairly ready to transition into the mid-game. So the Mutas not being the be-all and end-all of this match, as Cryoc prepares to make his first push out onto the map.
Indeed, and just as he pushes out, as I said, the Mutalisks will be arriving. Already 2 turrets constructed in the natural, though, and, True Touch making a mistake there, allowing one of his Mutalisks to go down before pulling back. But Cryoc should not have a huge problem dealing with this, and I think he realizes that it's not a very strong Mutalisk force, it's no serious threat, so he's going to build a couple extra turrets, more than a player normally does, and just attack with the Marines now.
Yeah.
Looks like True Touch, realizing that the Marines are out of the map, thought he could get in there with a little bit of a Zergling run-by. But no, that's not going to happen. Only manages to pick off 1 Marine before they're taken out. And ultimately he wants to get down to that bottom left corner, as True Touch is expanding there as a normal Zerg player does, and hit it before Lurkers can get there in time to defend. The Lurker FP getting pretty close, but obviously no Hydralisks.
Yeah. And True Touch actually took quite a lot of hits to 1 or 2 of his Mutas right there. Cryoc looking quick, managed to get the stim and managed to hit the Mutas quite fast. So True Touch needs to be a little bit more careful of that. He's right out in open ground as well, where of course it is not advantageous for Mutalisks in the slightest. They want a nice cliff to work with, just so they can get lots of cheap hits. Cryoc fairly well prepared in his natural as well. I wouldn't imagine the Mutalisks going to be able to do any real damage, and they're scanning ahead too to make sure he knows where the Lurkers are, if there are in fact any. Morphing in drones here at the bottom left, not morphing in any lings or anything to reinforce to the defense. Not even with any Lurkers happening down there either. He has all his Lurkers happening in his own natural expansion. Watch out, Cryoc, you don't want to get caught on that ramp. The Mutas are showing how effective they can really be. He's getting so caught on that ramp, and he needs to get down or stay up, but not sit in the middle for too long. Now he finally manages to get the positioning, but will he run out of Marines in the nick of time? No, it looks like he will make it, and that base is now undoubtedly going to be going down. So nice move there from Cryoc. It's cost him a fair number of Marines, but Marines are fortunately incredibly cheap, so it's alright because he can afford that. And down goes the bottom left hand base. No third base for you, Mr. True Touch. Relegated to 2 once again, and Cryoc still with decent strike forces there as well to roam around the map a little bit.
You were talking about how Cryoc shouldn't be on the ramp just because he was going to lose a lot of Marines, but honestly, I like what Cryoc was doing there. He realized that True Touch was going to be aggressive and not take advantage of the ramp as well as he possibly could, and he was just forced to because otherwise he would lose that expansion. So he was able to take out a lot of those Mutalisks, and True Touch threw away Mutalisks at not much better than a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't think being on a ramp is good at any point. It's just you just lose so much stuff. It's pretty bad. And now a couple of lurkers trying to create some kind of container outside the natural expansion of Crack, and they're actually going to do a decent job because, of course, 5 lurkers is worrying until you've got siege tanks out. We do have 1 siege tank on the way and siege tech happening too, but that's still going to be a little while away. Crack definitely not going to be able to push out through those lurkers before the siege tanks are done. So this is going to delay him quite nicely, and True Touch is going to have time to get the third base up in that differing location on the right hand side instead of all the way down in the bottom left where he was having a hard time getting units over there to defend it. We have so many medics with that Marine force in the middle of the map. It's like 1 medic per Marine. Those are some seriously well cared for Marines right there.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's like that's like UK healthcare right there.
It was a good ratio, but then Crack lost all those Marines when attacking bottom left. He didn't have a real chance to reassess what units he needed, or to redo the ratio is what I'm trying to say. But it's going to be enough if he stays away from the lurkers, and does manage to catch the lurker before it goes down, using the medic wall to keep most of the Zerglings out, and that's going to be effective enough.
He stims. This is ridiculous. Look how imbalanced medics are, guys. You only need 3 Marines and then like 10 medics and you're going to be set. Will the Marines survive? Oh, they just lost the critical mass and will eventually maybe go down. Oh, so close. And the medics just start the weird healing circle right there. It's like a hippie circle of love and peace and whatnot, but he's going to try and run them home. Probably not going to get too far because there are 5 lurkers sitting outside his natural expansion, but that's okay. I was wondering there, for some reason I suddenly thought that if the bunker went down all the Marines would die in it. Obviously that's not the case, that never ever happens, but I had a weird little brain mess up and freaked out temporarily. It's okay, I'm back in control. Ooh.
Alright.
I'm good.
And Cryok with 5 vultures just sitting in his base. As you can see, he is planning on going for the mech transition. Very soon he will be lifting off all the barracks and floating them out and not make any more Marines, but he actually has a really strong Marine count just because, like, there was the initial push out, and every Marine from the initial push out is dead. But that's all the Marines that True Touch has killed, and going in with the lurkers, they do not do a whole lot of damage at all, easily taken out.
My god, they did no damage whatsoever. All those lurkers biting the dust. That was brutal, brutal stuff. That was seriously expensive for a True Touch, and that was a hefty chunk of his defense. We can see the back at home. He's morphing a few more lurkers. He has 2 lurkers in. He's got 3 more in eggs, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Crack is pushing with so much stuff right here. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to get into this third base, and he's almost definitely going to be able to take out that hatchery before he gets beaten back. There are going to be 2 lurkers positioned on the ramp. Oh, losing a science vessel. Not quite sure that was necessary, especially since that was his first science vessel, and that's the one thing he's been really bad at this game. He's been very, very slow on the science vessel front, but those siege tanks sieging up means that he will be able to start pushing up this ramp, and this is going to be seriously hard to defend for True Touch, but I think this is a little bit premature, getting all those Marines up the ramp absolutely slaughtered by a decent spread of lurkers right there, and Cryok taking a while to notice exactly what was going on, finally pulling back, but only after losing the bulk of his Marine force. Gutted.
Unfortunate move, but that siege tank with the ridiculous range, I can't get them both on the same screen, is actually able to hit the hatchery as long as the medics are at the top of the ramp for vision, which is going to force the lurkers to attack. It looks like, a little bit of a counterattack as well with the lurkers. Lurkers are able to get a great position, chasing the medics off of the ramp, and it looks like these siege tanks will in fact be cleaned up. But even if they are, this game is really working out Cryok's way. He has map control when switching to mech, and that's all he needs. That's all he needs. Oh, True Touch still only on 3 bases at this late. It's not looking good.
It's worrying. It's seriously worrying, and he's not going to get the opportunity to make another one because, as we can see, there are vultures down at the bottom left hand side as well as Marines as well, so they're going to catch that drone just as soon as it tries to make any base. It's going to be very, very short lived indeed, and Cryok with some great map control now is looking good against True Touch, which is something a lot of people in the stream chat didn't expect, something I didn't necessarily expect either, but I was unwilling to write him off. And if this mech switch can really take hold, then he can be looking very, very good in this game. True Touch has to make something happen. It's on him now.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see why True Touch. This is not True Touch's best matchup, as he's been having difficulty all game, and Cryhawk has not been doing anything out of the ordinary at all. It's been the most standard of stuff, yet somehow seems to be confounding True Touch here.
Oh, finally Defilers are in. They have taken their time.
But is Consume? No, Consume still isn't done.
Not quite. Nearly done there. Yeah, this is tough. If those lurkers wander into those mines, it's going to be like GG, but they're not going to because there's an overlord there. I thought for a second they might, but they didn't. Of course, this means that Cryhawk absolutely will know that left-hand base is being attempted at by True Touch once again, but I don't think there's anything he can do about it at this stage. He just has to continue with his good map position and get those bases mining. The top left-hand base and the 12 o'clock base are now both done, so we can start transferring SCVs, and he's about to have a serious economical injection right here, so he needs to get that factory count really beefed up and get his production going. If he can get many more tanks and vultures than this, then he's going to start getting quite scary. It's still quite tenuous for him though, and he's still in a decent amount of danger. The Ling's running through, managing to take out a good number of mines and making way for those lurkers to move on through. As I was saying, Cryhawk is still not looking that thick in this line. He could easily be broken at any time. Oh, mine hits. I just love spider mines. TVC, I think they're superb. And these lurkers forced to pull back now. They no longer have any zerging support. Of course, lurkers and spider mines really do not mix spectacularly well. It usually ends up pretty badly for the poor lurkers. And taking a position up there, not really going to be able to achieve much apart from prevent any SCV transfers. But beyond that, not a huge amount. More links coming through to support.
Nice move from Cryhawk. He had he had a very small M&M force just hiding in the bottom left, waiting for True Touch to throw down the expansion, and now it's going to jump down and shut it down potentially. Yeah, it doesn't look like True Touch is sending any reinforcements to save it, so he will in fact be able to take out that expansion.
Oh, mind almost hitting those lurkers. And does my splash damage still apply to burrowed lurkers?
Oh man.
Oh, gutted. Yeah, there's if there's a lurker in the middle of a bunch of burrowed lurkers and a mine hits that lurker, does splash damage apply to all the... Oh no, Cryhawk, all your SCVs are going to go down. Cryhawk just lost a bunch of SCVs to all those lurkers. He knew they were there, but that's okay. Yeah, still didn't get my question out. Would splash damage have counted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think of it in the same way as when Protoss uses a Reaver to hit a lurker they can't see by shooting the Zealot on top.
Alright, okay.
Same concept.
Yeah. It's not something I've ever really considered. The irradiator is now finally happening. He's letting those science vessels chill there for a little bit too long, but I think he's got this quite well. I say he's got it quite well shut down, but he's got no marines in the middle of the map whatsoever. So this Scourge is going to wander all the way across the entire Terran map splittage and have a bash at those science vessels. But that's finally going to be it for these lurkers. They have proved their worth, though. They might end up running back through some mines. This is definitely going to be it for these poor lurkers. They're all exploding all over the place. Maybe one will make it through. Nope, he's going to burrow down and die to vultures. That's okay. Yeah, once again, the Terran is able to satisfactorily split the map. There is now nothing north of the line, nothing north of the Terran wall. That is a no-go area for the Zergs right now.
Yeah, and this is the problem you run into or rather, this is the goal of the mech transition. That Zerg is not on the map because you have so many +1 Marines just out and about that you can set up these minefields and then just have lockdown for the rest of the game.
Well, that's certainly the idea, and it's looking like it might actually function pretty well for Cryhawk. And I like the barracks just kind of floating around as well. Occasionally you look somewhere and there's like, oh, there's a barracks floating in the middle of the map. That's cool. But they're kind of useful just for spotting when you've got absolutely nothing else use for them when you're gone to a complete mech transition. But Kryak is looking nice. He's got top left-hand base finally going after that calamitous SCV transfer. It looks like he might kind of fancy taking the left-hand base as well. And he got control with which to eventually mount some kind of push, probably down the left-hand side. I wouldn't imagine he'd go for the natural straightaway, although he could do, I'm not sure. And there we go, we have lots of tanks sieging up, looking like they might just continue to push forward. The Zerg is looking like he's going to try to do something right here. One science vessel goes down pretty full of energy, but the D-Matrixes are going to do very, very nicely, and the Zerg attack is going to be repelled easily. True Touch is going to be looking pretty toothless after this. All those Ultras are going to go down without too much trouble. Having said that, they are doing a surprising amount of damage. I'm always amazed by just how much they have in the tank with which to just kind of survive and continues to do damage, but they are all taken down, and Kryak holds on very, very easily there, using D-Matrix to good effect, and is able to now reinforce his line. And I think this is probably his cue to start a little bit of pressure moving down the left-hand side of the map. And there it is. There is the unstoppable Terran onslaught.
Yeah, that engagement really just came down to positioning. Despite Kryak having overwhelming numbers in that, the Vultures weren't quite in the right position, so he couldn't keep the units away from the siege tanks long enough, and the crossfire splash forced him to lose half the siege tanks, which is a bit unfortunate, even though he did end up winning the engagement. Taking out all the Ultralisks is nice. As you said, the army is moving down, trying to get into position to take out that 4th base from True Touch, but it might not be able to. It looks like True Touch is going to get in there and clean up the rest of that Terran force.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be the case. I mean, I think Kryak just overextended a little bit. He had a good position and he managed to push forward and then take out plenty of Lings, but I think he just didn't have really the tank count to see it through, and I think he should have known that. I'm surprised he doesn't have a greater tank count at this point. He's got quite a few bases, although having said that, he's only really got 2 bases working, but he had 2 bases working, so I'd have thought he'd have had more tanks out on the map than that, and he just looked a tad bit thin to deal with any real proper concerted Ultralist pressure. And as such, he was beaten quite handily by True Touch. And once again, True Touch decides to push through the middle of the map. I think once again a little bit of a mistake, especially doing so with no Overlords to take out these Spider Mines on the way. He is definitely not going to be making it too far out to the top left-hand corner here, and he's just going to maybe be able to take out 1 tank if he's lucky, which is all he does.
Yep. He is in fact dropping some cracklings into the mineral line, trying to get some kind of damage done, but it was scouted out early and gets absolutely nothing from it. An unfortunate drop, and randomly Marines? I thought all of Kryak's Marines were dead.
Maybe just trying to free up supply, although I wouldn't think so, but yeah. Looking at this, my god, the supply count is really stacked in the Terran's favour right now. I wouldn't have thought it were the case, but Kryak is currently on 166 supply, whereas our Zerg player is on 92 supply, so that's a really pretty major swing, and if he can make that count, as I think indeed he should, then he should be looking pretty nice. These barracks keep confusing the hell out of me. I see like brown blobs floating over towards Zerg bases, and then I'm like, oh my god, it's a big drop, and then it's not a drop at all. It's literally nothing happening. It's a defunct building hovering over the Zerg stuff, just looking slightly ominous and not doing anything serious. Just stopping all the drones underneath from getting a tan. That's it. That's all they do.
I mean, that one barracks in the main has been hovering there for what? I don't know, 10 minutes now? A ridiculous amount of time. Like,
it's just relaxing.
He should have landed it. Just start making fire bats. Slowly but surely, fire bats and fire bats and fire bats and fire bats. And
then just burst out with like 50 fire bats, and then Drew's just like, what? How did this even happen? Yeah, okay, finally a defiler. I mean, we've had a sad lack of defilers so far in this game. We have one moseying its way up the ramp now, but that's been a while, you know, since I saw the first defilers, and then I didn't really see many more since then.
Well, Kryak's setting himself up to take all the bases on his side of the map. Does he not realize he hasn't landed that command center at the natural top left?
Oh yeah, maybe he thinks he did, but clearly he absolutely definitely didn't. Oh wow, that is one of the biggest Ling mines I've ever seen in my entire life. True Touch thought he was being really sneaky, like running them over to the left, and then boom, right in the middle of the whole thing. That is seriously cool. Oh, losing another science vessel a little bit cheaply. How many science vessels does he actually have on the map? He got 2 in his main. He should have more science vessels at this stage. He hasn't done a good job of keeping him alive, but we do have a drop coming into the top left-hand base now, and he's going to be able to take out a few SCVs at the very least. Crack should probably run those SCVs away and then lift the command center just in order to keep this as safe as possible. He is doing that and doesn't need to lift the command center. He's just going to move straight in with a good number of units. A couple of drones in there, just in the mix for good measure. You know, just chuck a few drones in there. Why the hell not, indeed? But that attack is going to be beaten back. Drones and all. I mean, you're just going to leave them to die. That's a bit cruel. That's a letter of complaint. Yeah, these overlords are going to go down too, and that was fairly easily dealt with by Cryox. He just has the control and he has the mobility along the top of that map to just move around pretty freely. Even with a big clunky mech army, he's still able to do so. And the Zerg is attacking just where the line is strongest. I think this is probably some kind of ploy to lure Cryok into some kind of false sense of security, like attack where the line is strongest and then later attack where it's weak. Doing some nice circling bombs, but I think that's a little bit late after the main bulk of the force has already gone down. And True Touch is going to need to try something different. That's not going to swing it for him.
You're a nice guy, so I can't tell if that was sarcastic or not.
What?
I can't tell if you were honestly like, yeah, that's totally a good strategy to attack up there. And I mean, it's a little unorthodox, but sure, I trust that True Touch is a master StarCraft player. And I can't tell if you were being genuine or not.
People never can. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Really, this is where True Touch suffers. True Touch does not play a very good late game. If he hasn't won by the 15-minute mark, you start to watch, oh, this is why this guy isn't a top-tier player.
Oh, dear.
Or the toppest of tier, I should say.
You are not wrong. He found the only place where the line is equally as strong and attacked that instead. So basically he's just thrown away two big forces on huge tank mine defenses. A few overlords coming in here, they're empty and they're dead. So that's pretty much a double whammy if you're an overlord. You got nothing in you and you're shot down by Goliaths. Woohoo, what a terrible day. And Crack is now able to just split the map completely in his favour and can take more bases as and when he likes. And True Touch has got no way in at this point. He needs Swarm. He has got no Swarm and he needs it. And he's just not using the tech to its full advantage.
Cryok has like double supply. It was double supply a little while ago when True Touch only had 104. And Cryok's maxed. He could be he has double armor. He cannot be spending his money on anything else right now. And yet he's not attacking. He's just sitting there. There is the only brown on the bottom half of the map are those damn barracks. And then two science vessels. And you know,
those barracks.
We're getting to the position where it's wow. The Defiler plagued two science vessels, but he got more of his own units than he did science vessels. Nice.
Quality stuff. Thumbs up.
Yeah, Cryok doesn't have to move to win. He can sit there and chill.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And I think that's what he's going to do. And there's
he doesn't need to do that to win though. He could steamroll the Zerg. He could steamroll True Touch right
absolutely.
now. He has units. He's got so many tanks. He's got a maxed army of tanks, science vessels, vultures, Goliaths, the whole damn thing. He could do it, but he's not going to because he wants to play it safe, which is absolutely okay. But yeah, I can see why True Touch is looking a bit lost at this point. I wouldn't know what to do if I was in his position. And it is a weird situation to find yourself in as Zerg. You do have a little bit of a lack of options, and some vultures somehow getting into the bottom left-hand corner as the Zerg mounts another horrible, fruitless death attack on the top left-hand corner, whilst all his drones at the bottom left are going down. And yeah, that's really pretty horrible. His economy is in no better shape than it was, and he's once again used up a bunch of units trying to attack in a ridiculously strong Terran position. And all the while, he's lost a lot of his mining economy. So yeah, Cryok's still remaining in a good position, and he should be maxed again very, very soon. He has a decent bank. He has 2,000 minerals. He has 900 gas. So before long, he should have a whole fresh bunch of vultures, tanks, etc. And looking good to take this game versus quite a strong opponent. Those mines are going to be bad. Those mines are going to be bad.
He can see the mines. He has overlords.
I know, but I thought he was about to just literally run them straight into the mines nonetheless. But he's not. He's alright.
Well, I guess you can harass the SCVs with Ultralord drops.
Ultra Lord.
Ultra Lord.
That sounds messed up.
That sounds like that sounds like a villain from a terrible '80s cartoon.
Yeah, it
Ultra Lord.
does. Super tacky. That could be the name of the Superman. Super tacky. Yeah. Super tacky and Ultra Lord. That's nasty. And another crazy Zerg attack coming in on the left hand side. He's going to have another bash at this battery of siege tanks. He's going to try doing the bombing again, but he's only going to be bombing in one way, and that's not the good way. And he does manage to take care of a few tanks, but not enough to be decisive once again. And whilst that has done a decent damage, it's really lessened the supply of Cryok. That supply is going to be shooting straight back up again because he is mining quite well. Not mining quite as well as he'd like to be, because way at the top left hand corner up here, he has got no SCVs actually working at all. Not too many working at the kind of very top map positions either. So yeah, not quite as strong as it could be economic wise. He has to start producing SCVs again, even at this late stage of the game, but still he's in no real danger of having his line properly broken. And a Radiated Overlord taking a few of its Overlord buddies with it. But that's okay. Yeah, still pretty safe for Cryok.
I do need to point out that the chat is absolutely right. Ultra Lord is totally from Jimmy Neutron. I don't know if you get Jimmy Neutron in England, but...
I didn't. Other people might. I don't.
Okay, well, Ultra Lord was from a 90s cartoon, but there totally is a character called Ultra Lord. And I watched that show a lot. I should have remembered that, but... Here we go. True Touch trying again with the same multi-prong air and ground attack that is killed by siege tanks.
Yep.
20 kill siege tank. Just sitting in the middle. He's chilling. Everything's fine.
These barracks continue to frustrate me. I can't really get over them now. I've seen them. I can't unsee them. The barracks be chilling. And they be annoying. Elegant. I just wanted to float the barracks in the main up to the top right hand side of the main where that, like, dark patch of vision is, and start making loads of bad stuff and kill the Zerg main when he doesn't see it coming. I think it would be deeply amusing, but he's not going to do it because he's not bothered. He just wants to go in for the long game right here, fortifying the top left position once again. He's almost maxed out. He's maxing out incredibly slowly because he's got so little economy, but that's what he likes to do. He likes to split the map and max out. That's how he does, and as we can see, that's a good decision because True Touch has got nothing against this. He's got just no ideas.
I'm actually kind of surprised by how little money Cryok has, considering how little he's like throwing away stuff. But yo, this game goes from being just like a sitting weights fest into pimpest plays. If he takes that barracks that have been in there forever, lands it,
science vessels,
and starts making ghosts.
I would be incredibly happy if that were to happen.
For nukes.
Yeah.
Oh, he did land one of the barracks. There's a barracks landed bottom left that has not built anything yet, and can totally be seen by a bunch of different things, but possibly. Actually, I don't know.
It can be seen.
We can check.
Yeah. I think it can.
No, it can't be seen. It's invisible.
No. Is that like on one of those tiny little black squares of non-vision?
Oh, you gotta do it now, man.
Please, Cryok, please.
Ghost.
For everybody.
He lifted up the science facility. That means he's gonna set something down, right? Right?
Derp.
Right? Damn it.
Nah. He's just toying with us. He knew exactly what would happen. He's an evil genius. He's Ultra Lord.
He's Ultra Lord.
Cryok Ultra Lord. That's his full name.
Man, he's a doctor. He actually does have a doctorate.
Oh, good on him.
Yeah. So,
clearly not a doctorate in, killing.
Moving. He's a doctor Ultra Lord.
Yeah. Who likes to take his time in a very, very evil manner.
I feel like I've seen this attack before.
Yeah? I feel a lot like that.
It's just like this tape's on loop. It keeps happening. It's like 2 to the left, 1 to the right, 2 to the left, 1 to the right, 2 to the left, 1 to the right. They all land exactly the same.
True Touch just has no options. He's got no money in the bank. His supply count overall is kind of going up, which is bizarre. But he's just there's nothing he can do. Cryok just has this so closed down, and yeah, just I don't for 1 minute blame True Touch for not knowing how to deal with this, because as an impartial observer, I have no idea what he could do. I guess it would just be all about better use of swarm and whatnot, and just kind of leapfrogging his way into these bases and trying to do slow but steady damage, as opposed to just throwing away huge numbers of units at a time. So we be chilling.
We be chilling.
We be chilling.
So is Cryok. Cryok is also
Yeah,
chilling.
to be fair, this isn't LRM's fault, this ridiculously long game. I'll say that for LRM. And I'm not usually like one to go on about how much I love LRM, but you know, this was all on Cryok here, guys. If you want somebody to shout at, you shout at Cryok, because wow, this is passive stuff.
Yep. I do find it funny that True Touch has decided that the best way to break through this is attack with Ultra Ling at the bottom with no swarm and then drop on top. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad, but given that he's done it at least 8 times now, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't tried something else.
I'm surprised.
Like maybe Guardians will work. Oh, okay, he has queens. Alright, he has 5.
Guardians might work.
He has 5 queens, bottom left. We're gonna try something different. Holy shit!
Said Guardians.
I said Guardians originally, but they were queens, bottom left. He has
Marine.
Tin Marines! They're doing something!
Yes.
The elite!
Yes, this is his first aggression for about half an hour.
Oh man, that plan has been
And
25 minutes in the works.
Yes, I'm so glad that barracks is dead. Oh, I hated that barracks with an absolute passion. The one on the other side of the map is still going, oh, and he's starting to irradiate stuff. He's irradiating an Ultralisk, which is literally just sitting in the middle of a drone line. Genius Ultralisk right there.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
Magic.
Dude, like, landing that barracks, that was a plan. That was 25 minutes in the works. As soon as he lifted out that barracks, he knew. I'm gonna fly it over there. I'm going to lull him into a false sense of security over 15 minutes, then land it and stim a couple of Marines and attack. And I will kill 1 drone. And that will be the deciding factor. Zerg's managed to get up to 170 supply. That's worth mentioning. They actually have reasonable supply now. And are just waiting on energy with the queens. Is it researched? I assume Broodling is researched.
I assume so also.
I'll be frank. I was tempted to times 4 speed it about 10 minutes ago, but
Game in the stream chat just said a thing, which is worrying.
Game said a thing.
Yeah, Game. Please be joking. Please be trolling. Please be trolling, because because the clan war started like 4.5 hours ago.
It's like, seriously though, like there have been LRM clan wars that haven't finished and then turned out to be like 2-hour clan wars, and it was all Choozy's fault because Choozy just has that shitty of internet.
Choozy, please let this be your fault.
Yeah, it has happened that LRM just has terrible internet, and that is the reason why the clan wars take forever.
I can't believe what is happening. Yeah, this game is still this game. They just like cut it in half and then sent us the first half of the replay. It's still the same. Okay, let's soldier on. We have Cryok threatening to do some aggression. He has unsieged his stuff for the first time in 20 minutes and is looking like he might actually launch an attack. The queens go down without doing anything. And it's time for the siege tank assault. Go siege tanks. Go siege tanks. Attack now. 3, 2, 1, go. Win. True Touch must GG after these siege tanks. Ruffle stomp him. The queens are coming in. What can queens do? Can they spawn brutally everything? This is the ultimate challenge. The queens are all dying. Everything's dying. The overlords are dying. All the Zerg stuff is in fact dying, as I believe I've already mentioned. And this is going to be surely the absolute last ditch attempt to have any foothold in this game from True Touch. He has been able to do nothing for about half an hour.
God, Cryok had spent like the past 5 minutes building the absolute perfect composition, and he killed 9 supply. Cryok is down 9 supply.
You know what I really enjoyed? I really enjoyed the China versus Reps clan war. That was a good clan war. And it seems so long ago. It's,
It was so long ago. It was like...
it seems like ancient history. I've been on this call with you for 2 hours and 17 minutes, and this was started most of the way through the China Reps fan war. I feel old. Alright, go Cryo. Go. Make it happen. He's going to steamroll through True Touch like he should have done a while ago, and True Touch is going to GG out at that point. He is Cryo is sat on a bank of 4,500 minerals, 3,500 gas. True Touch is sat on a bank of 172 minerals and 532 gas. So it's only going to end one way. And on goes the Terran war machine, steaming unstoppably towards the Zerg's bases.
Honestly,
I remember this game being good though.
I'm curious what changed in Cryok's mind, because from his perspective, this game has been the same for the past 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Why did he attack now? What was so different about now that he didn't do it there? Did he actually just get bored?
I think so.
He might have actually just gotten bored and was like, "Fuck it." There we go.
GG. Good. We have a GG.
Alright, and Cryok wins the game. And will inevitably be playing TBC next. No, it could potentially be Protoss. He could be against Choose Your Dragon. And they wouldn't be good for that matchup. Possibly.
Cool.
Wow.
Right. I'm incredibly hungry, but I must keep going because I have no food in the house. Because
I can't remember if I downloaded it or not. I did not download it.
Dang.
Alright. Replay in the folder. Okay. Whoops. Wrong map. Create our game 4. Game.
Yay. Yay. I mean, oh, the QW1 has already started. You have to change the name again.
Yeah, I totally started it without you. Damn it! It's those long games. Those long games. You just like forget everything you know about like being able to start a cast. You just.
God damn you, Hackle Beast.
We're going back to
God damn you.
No one.
Alright, let's do it.
Not a one.
Oh, super. Let's do it.
Okay.
Come on. Find the extra gear. Find the energy. Cryok, don't do this to me. Make it a quick one. Win in landslide style. To be fair, he won that game very quickly and then like went out for a cup of tea or something. Or to finish his PhD and then came back.
Alright.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. Game number 4. LRM versus iFU. In the bottom right, we have Cryok once again as the brown Terran. And in the top left, whoa, we have LRM game. Okay. There were 2 Protosses it could have been.
Random player.
And
random player.
Yeah, that was not one of the people I was expecting. Did Games in chat. Game, did you random Protoss or did you pick Protoss?
He always goes random.
I wouldn't have been surprised if he picked Protoss here.
Really?
Yeah, Cryok's not very good TVP. No one says he didn't random. Alright. Game. Apparently he did random. Alright.
Cool. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna do the talkie while you do the overlay E. The map is... What is the map called, Hacklebeast? Oh, it's called Sniper Ridge. Okay, Neo Sniper Ridge. So the new version of Sniper Ridge has a few extra ramps and doodads dotted around, which makes the third base slightly more accessible to you, if it is you trying to set your own third base, which makes it slightly better. An LRM game is scared of Cryok because he beat True Touch. LRM game scared.
Okay, if Game's telling the truth about going random, he did not tell Cryok his race.
No.
So Cryok does not know.
Game. So if not, then both players are now officially screwed. But it looks like it's alright.
Whatever.
We won't tell. I promise.
Oh.
And Dewa is probably just like asleep on his keyboard after the last game, so he's not going to see this. So he's alright. I'm surprised actually how many viewers we still have. Guys, you are the true Brood Warriors. I mean, nobody loves Brood War more than me, but that game tested my patience to its very limits.
Clearly, these are not the true Brood Warriors, because these are people who can see StarCraft 2 events on the calendar.
Oh no, you guys.
So it's the opposite of that. Aha!
Alright,
this was an elaborate ruse.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was an elaborate ruse, so that we can commit SC2 witch hunts against people.
You guys are all completely busted, because if it was me, I wouldn't know this was on. Just saying. I wouldn't even know that this event existed at all. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I am. I look away in disgust. Although I can't, because I can't see the game. So Games Probe is doing a little bit of the running away action from Mr. Marine. And the factory's on the way up. Nothing particularly special, nothing particularly notable yet. We can see that there is only one guy mining gas, so it's probably not going to be a 2-fac, although you can that's weird. Game doing a little bit of the machine shop delaying action with the pylon right there, which is quite cute.
Although it's weird because he didn't build an initial zealot to attack. He waited until Goon. So I don't know exactly how much aggression he's going to be able to go with.
No, none. I guess it's kind of fun. I think he's maybe just trying to kind of exert his, I almost said spiritual, but that's bullshit. To exert his mental dominance over Cryok, because there's nothing spiritual about LRM Game. Much as I'm a fan of LRM Game, he's not a spiritual chap.
Spiritual chap. Oh, no comment. No comment. Game's getting range.
I don't think Game can be angry about me saying he's not spiritual. Or maybe he can, I don't know. Maybe he's crossed new boundaries. Spiritual boundaries. I think I'm going mad, Hackle Beast.
It happens, man. It happens when you have games like that. Oh shit. Game's TT rushing.
Yes.
Alright. Yeah.
Alright, cool. So yeah, it's going to be a straight up DT rush. We have no evidence of drop tech on the way in, and he doesn't have the gas to afford it anywho. So yeah, it's just going to be straight up stuff. He is going for the Dragoon range beforehand. He's going to let that finish. Yes, that definitely finished. He definitely didn't cancel it. So yeah, he's gone for the Dragoon range, which is going to be an extra kind of element of fooling Cryok into not having a single clue what is going on.
It is, though, a little bit odd that he didn't move out with his first Dragoons. As a Terran player, you should be suspicious if Protoss is not attacking immediately. Will he react properly? It's yet to be seen. He does have mines out, but no detection. And apparently Game doesn't see the tank.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is an interesting little bit of a situation for Game to be in. I think he does know what's going on. It looks like he's ready for this. He kind of looks like he might be ready to sandwich this force as it comes down that ramp, which could be pretty nice, and he might be able to do some serious damage to it, if not get rid of the tank as well, which would really be quite bad for Cryok. I'm not quite sure why the tank is there, if that's just kind of a sneaky attack angle, but it seems a little bit risky to have it all that far forward at this stage and to keep it forward for so incredibly long. Either way, the first DT is now out. He's just gone straight up DT off one gateway, not making the second gateway as he so often do. So that first DT is going to be heading off, and that's going to leave him in a little bit of a vulnerable position. This is really interesting from Cryok. He's making a bunker at the top of that ramp. That is quite weird, because of course there's a whole nother huge way round. I guess that's just to siege down into the natural expansion at that that opening, I suppose.
No clue. I do not know what this is, but
No
Game
detection.
comes back with the DT, and yeah, no scan. Means that whatever he was trying to do here, we won't be able to see it because it's all going to die.
I quite like that. I quite like that idea. It's just a shame that he didn't have a missile turret or anything to support it. But I do quite like that idea. He now has the engineering bay on the way up. So this actually worked out okay for him because he didn't have any detection back at home, and so this has allowed him at the very least to get that engineering bay up and running. So he hasn't taken any huge damage with the DT like he might have done. And he's able to completely make himself safe at this point. Although the DT might make its way. No, it's not going to make its way. It's going to take a mine hit, and will probably take another mine hit at some point in its dash across the map. And no doubt there will be missile turrets up and ready and waiting for it by the time it gets to Cryok's base. And Cryok going for the big 4-factory kind of thing, throwing down an extra 2 factories right now and getting ready, presumably for a big mid-game push. Although we don't have any natural gas.
Nope. It looks like this whatever he's doing with the 4 factories is going to be rather vulture heavy, which I like at this point. Game's shown that he went for DTs first. He won't have that many Dragoons out on the field. You certainly have a good opportunity to just spam with lots and lots of mines around, and I think that's a very solid idea at this point. You do have the concepts coming on the way as well, so that will certainly put an end to any DT shenanigans. And Game, it seems like he's transitioning into mostly normal stuff, although there is a drop ship or a shuttle. So one last time with DT drops, and then absolutely normal stuff.
Yeah, and DT drops are pretty good. I mean, if nothing else, they can waste a good bit of scan, although do we have any fast arbiter, any hint of it happening? No, we don't. So Game's just going to go for what looks like going to be a big mid-game force. He's got the assist elevator upgrading the Zealot leg speed as we speak. A few extra gateways coming in as well, because of course he can afford a huge number of Zealots, even off only 2 bases. And I know that Game is quite an advocate of equally based Protoss versus Terran, especially 2 base versus 2 base. He is one of the school who believes that it doesn't actually put Protoss too far behind, and I think in many ways he can actually be very, very right about that. And we'll see how his force actually fares here. But having really committed to the gateways to the Zealot leg speed, I think he can do some decent damage to the Terran push as it comes out.
Well, the shuttle is looming overhead. Realistically, Cryok does not know it's DTs. It could theoretically be Reavers if Game went for a very all-in kind of strategy at this point and just completely tech switch to the other side. But recently he should be expecting DTs as Game just hovers over. Are there actually no Marines? No, there's totally a Marine up here. Okay, now he's coming back. And will at least force Game to do something. He won't be able to stay over there for long as 1 DT drops. And nice move by Cryok, seeing the shadow of it and taking it out even before it got his first swing off.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, those DTs really aren't going to do anything. They are going to waste a good amount of scan, but since he isn't going for arbiters or any kind of significant DT presence, I don't think it's going to make a big difference. It's just kind of by the by, and seeing if you can get any cheap kills while he's at it. Observer coming in now, so presumably so he can see the factory count once the shuttle is left, and so that he can keep an eye on those mines a bit maybe as well to keep the DT alive as long as possible. But that shuttle probably not going to be staying in there too much longer because there's not a huge amount it can do, and it will be useful for Zealot bombs if he decides to do any kind of pressure, or if Cryok decides to do any kind of attack of his own. But Cryok is just going for a 3rd base, and Game matching him with that, if slightly ahead. So decent timings for the Protoss.
Yep, and it is looking rather even. I think Cryok has a little bit of an advantage just because 3 base Terran tends to be rather strong. And Game's army isn't looking terribly fearsome at this point. He hasn't started his Stargate yet, so attack probably won't be. Oh, there's the Stargate just started. So Arbiters will be in a little bit, but still a bit, still a ways off.
Yeah, I mean they are slightly later than they would be because of all this kind of DT and whatnot that he's done in the mid game, and just going for the speed zealots in a big way instead of going straight for the arbiter attack, which kind of makes good sense. So a little bit of mine action taking care of 2 Dragoons up at the 12 o'clock base. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the arbiters will be a little bit delayed, so that could give Cryok a bit of an edge in terms of pushing maybe at kind of 160 supply-ish, because there won't be at least very much stasis, so maybe just 1 or a max 2 stasis in the Protoss army. But we shall see. Yeah, this game's going to chill for a little while longer, though. Cryok is not going to be moving anytime soon. He's just going to bide his time for a little bit. Looks like he's making ready for some kind of arbiter defense in his main as well. He's got a few vultures hanging around ready to lay down some mines, which is always a good idea.
Alright. I'm a little bit surprised by how passive Cryok's been with the vultures. It's usually something you don't like seeing in a TVP, for Cryok to have not gotten out. There isn't a whole lot of harassment opportunity, but he really doesn't know it, as he hasn't gotten the vultures out there. And even if he's not harassing with them, he should still be out and about laying mines a lot closer to the Protoss base, just forcing Protoss to mine clear a lot more, instead of laying all of these mines so close to your own base. It doesn't... I mean, it's nice that Protoss is going to attack now, but you just have absolutely no map presence, and the only thing you know... Well, now we have some vultures getting killed. But the only thing you know about your opponent is what you can get off of scans. And you need a little bit more information than that.
Yeah, you really do. And mines dotted around the map can always be such a problem as well, because at any point you can take a nasty mine hit on some Dragoons. I mean, we see it happen from every level, from way down in D all the way up to the pro ranks, where you can just get a little bit unlucky with a few wandering Dragoons, and you can take quite a few heavy losses, and especially with speed zealots as well. So it's always worth getting some mines around. Now he's finally doing it, but it's taken him a surprisingly long time to get it happening.
Both players pretty bad with the upgrades. Game's +1 attack only just starting now, while Cryok's +1 just finishing now. But even Cryok is very late with that, and we can see he is now heading towards Science Vessel Tech and throwing down another armory. So he'll start to get a little bit better on the on the tech front, but it's still rather late overall. Game has set up a 4th base, which should help him get a little bit more ahead. But both players are starting to approach maxed. 190 for Game, 170 for Cryok. And at that point, somebody's got to move. You would hope.
We can see that these semis have actually worked out well for Game. A lot of people say you can't go even on bases for so long as Game actually has, but we can see him proving them wrong, because he's gone level on bases for quite some time and is able to keep very, very, very level and even ahead in terms of supply. So 200 versus 182 is a good swing for LRM Game at this point. And Cryok is going to be a short time now before he can actually push it out, but Game's going to be entirely well prepared for this. You can see that he has a shuttle. What does the shuttle have in it? It has High Templar in it. Okay, so it has 2 Dark Templar, 2 High Templar. So that's going to be quite scary, because that's going to be a lot of storm being laid down all over Cryok's army. And looking for the Arbiters now, not quite sure how much stasis he's going to have. Okay, first Arbiters are just popping out now, so it's a little while before he'll have any decent amount of stasis. But even so, I think LRM Games army is going to be strong enough to at least hold out. This is one decent push.
Yeah, we'll see. It looks like he's also going to be expanding bottom left, and yep, there goes down the Nexus. I think that's a lot better move than actually moving in with that large army, because Cryok is way too ingrained in a defensive position for that to really work in any serious way. Science vessels are on the way, so the first science vessel should get there not too long after the first Arbiter for Game really gets involved. You said the first Arbiter's out, and there it is. It almost has enough energy for stasis, but not quite.
Takes a little while. Definitely takes a little while. So, he's not going to have any huge amount of stasis. He is going to have 1, possibly 2. I think we do have 2 Stargates working away, so we have a second Arbiter now out as well. So probably by the time Cryok gets into a position where he's really threatening Game, we will have 2 stasis going down in this army, and that realistically should be enough in combination with a good amount of storm, and Game should have at least 6 storms in his army at this point, I would think, combined with the ones in his shuttle.
So it looks like finally Cryok will be moving out, heading down along the bottom side rather than going up. Which will allow him to attack the base that Game is trying to set up. And Game's going to attack head-on into a huge Terran tank force. All of the Helots go down to the initial Vultures. There were some nice, very nice storms going down. killing off a large pack, but I don't think it's going to matter in the end. It was unfortunate that, oh, well, more storms. There just weren't enough vultures to really snipe those High Templar as they came out. So, Game will actually be able to clean up Cryok's army there.
Somehow, right there, it looked incredibly easy to beat a max Terran army. It didn't look like any challenge at all. I mean, Game's army didn't look huge. I guess it was big enough. He had a decent number of zealots, but it wasn't kind of overwhelming. But Cryok just didn't have any real reply to it, and Game just made that look very, very simple, taking down the Terran army with absolutely no problems whatsoever, using his storm to good effect in the end there, and he's able to easily remax with his army quite soon. He's still got nearly 2k minerals in the bank, back up to 171 supply already, so he's really not struggling at all to get the new units out. And Cryok is, I don't know what he can do. 120 supply versus nearly maxed out again for Game. I think he's been way too passive in this game.
Yeah, the passivity hasn't helped him at all. Really, I think that engagement really came down to the vulture position. His vultures were not in the best position, and they did manage to kill off all the zealots, but the zealots did soften up the tanks to a certain extent, and more importantly, there was nothing to stop the High Templars from dropping down. It was really easy for Game to just storm the tanks after that. And now he's on 3 bases. Still, he's not going to lose any of these 3 bases anytime soon. He's perfectly fine on those 3 bases, but main's mined out, natural's getting pretty close, and I don't see how he can take another one.
Yeah, I really don't think he can. Game just has a complete map control right here. We can see that Cryok would probably like to push over to the right hand side, but Game's got an observer there, so he's going to call that just as soon as it happens, and he's going to be able to head on over there with a big army, which is easily able to beat anything that Cryok put out at this point. He is in fact maxed once again, whereas Cryok is taking so long to remax. He's on 164 supply, only gained 40 supply since he lost that big engagement, and yeah, this is going to be, I think, a slow and steady demise for our friend Cryok here. Certainly the master of taking games passively, slowly, and late. I mean,
yep,
this probably won't be quite as bad as the True Touch one, because he's not getting himself into such a completely turtled up position on so many bases as that. But nonetheless, he could really draw this one out as well, laying down a scan on Game's army. If he could get one EMP off on all those arbiters, and all those arbiters, so many High Templar as well. That's a slight positioning error from Game, and you know what that does? That seriously delays recalls. Which is quite bad at this point, because the one thing that can really finish this game off is recalls, but it's okay because he has another arbiter ready to do recalls anyway. So the recall goes into the main base of Cryok, and really he's just going to have to try and do damage limitation at this point. He's going to have to pull back with most, if not all, of his units, although this wasn't a huge recall. The armory is going to go down before it finishes that particular upgrade, and Storm going to be happening all over all those units that are trying to come up the ramp now as well, so a decent couple of Storms left in Game. Manages to do some damage. The shuttle did go down though, but honestly he can remake those units just as quick as he likes. Back up to 188 supply, no doubt to be remaxed again very soon. His gateway is standing idle, but I'm sure he'll deal with that in no time whatsoever. And yeah, Cryok just having to play the reaction game once again. Somehow those arbiters managing to fly out through all those missile turrets. Not that they have any energy in them, so they're not particularly useful. And a command center floating out to the right hand side base now too. So Game needs to ready the troops once again and get prepared to go and take that out.
Yeah, that... Honestly, Game didn't really do much in that recall. He killed the starport, he killed a factory, and an armory that wasn't getting an upgrade.
No, it was getting an upgrade.
Oh, it was getting an upgrade? Okay, he stopped one upgrade. And honestly, it didn't cost him anything.
Oh my god, Cryok's still only on 2-1.
Yeah.
I did kind of just pointed out in the chat, but Game is also ridiculously delayed on it. 1-0-0. This is not a very upgradey game. Guys, you might want to get on that. I mean, I don't know much, but I know that upgrades are good. I know that no upgrades are therefore bad.
Game has 1-0 and double forge.
The same.
Okay, 2-0. 2-0.
Yeah,
apparently that one that wasn't doing was in fact getting the second attack upgrade.
Cool.
But I totally thought he built a forge and didn't do anything with it.
Wow. Maybe he just thinks they look really good, so it's just like base furniture, just getting loads of forges.
That is a really odd looking building. Just like...
It's weird, isn't it? I don't quite know what it is. I mean, it's a forge, but what is happening with it? What's the deal with that forge. Oh no, Cryok. If Cryok manages to split the map, if he maintains that base, I'm gonna weep. I'm going to be seriously sad. I can't imagine he will. Game just has so much force here. It looks like he's making ready for another recall. He's got a big clump of units waiting. That's going to be spotted by mines. But do we have any science vessels at the ready? We have one science vessel at the ready, which does just have the energy for EMP. Will he see the Arbiter in time? I don't think he's going to. He may. No, he's definitely not going to see the Arbiter in time. And that recall is going to get in. And he's definitely going to be able to take out this base from Cryok before Terran is able to get over there and clean this up. Will we have a stasis go down? We do have a stasis happening on that science vessel for some reason. Not that that makes a huge amount of difference, but if Game chooses to, he can definitely... Nice storm going down over those remaining defensive forces from Cryok, and Game has once again retaken this ridge, and Cryok is... again, looking pretty out of options in terms of more bases to take. Another nice storm going down, taking down a lot of vultures pretty much for free, and Game just barreling down with a huge number of dragoons all the way down this ramp and just leaving a few back to take care of that command center and the SCVs. But basically this is over for Cryok. GG, and Game redeems some dignity for LRM, going 2-2 against iFU. Cryok ending up with only one kill to his name against the venerable True Touch.
Alright. Let me save the next the rest of the replays. Sorry about this. Does take me a little bit of time to get this done. God damn it. He put all the replays in the folder. Oh well, that's fine.
Oh good.
It's fine. I don't care. It's all good. Replace game 1, replace game 2, replace game 3, replace game 4. Alright. We're good.
And Mr. Guy in chat, whose name I don't know, Fox is Gosu. Fox is very, very Gosu. Don't take the piss out of Fox.
Alright. So, game number 5. Game number 5. Game versus
Can't believe
someone.
we're already there. Come on, Game. Come on, Game. I trust in LRM Game to make the match quick and incredibly exciting. That's what I want out of this. I know it's a tall order, but fast and very, very exciting. That is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Just saying. If anyone is hearing me who is going to be playing in future weeks, that is the main criteria for a great cast. Quick, thrilling games.
There you have it.
A tour de force.
Elegant is asking everyone to cheese. Just nothing but cheese in Gambit Cup.
No, I'm just like doing normal play incredibly well. Just so it's ridiculous. Just so I can't believe what I'm seeing. My eyes are boggling out of my head. That should be all your goals. So practice, because I want that.
Alright. So in the top right, we have LRM Game as the Red Terran. LRM Terran. Never thought I'd see the day. And in the bottom left, we have iFU Octazerg.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's been a very, very long while. When's the last time I even saw Octazerg play? I can't even remember.
The last time I saw Octazerg play was ISL qualifiers.
That's really, really weird.
Yep.
It's yeah, wow. Okay, cool. That was like the last guy I was expecting to come out of the gates in this one. But that's alright. It's going to be fun. So it's Octazerg time, and we'll see what he's got up his silky sleeve against Mr. LRM Game, who's no doubt going to be coming in all guns blazing after last game's success. And I believe Game's best race is in fact Terran, so we should see him break out all the big guns right here. Last game looked, whilst he played better than Cryok, it didn't look like the perfect game, and looked like he may have been taken apart by a better player just a little bit. Game, don't hate me for saying that. But yeah, we'll see what he can manage to do here. I have no idea of Octazerg's standard of play, especially not at the moment. I have literally no clue. Have you got any insight for me there, Hacklebeast?
Well, Octazerg does like the Zerglings. He's certainly known for them. But Octazerg was actually a former LRM member. And he played for LRM for the majority of last season's Gambit Cup. So there's a little bit of history in him being sent out against LRM. Kind of cool. I don't know exactly what their practice regimen looks like, but there's a reasonable chance that that these two players have a lot of game experience against each other. And
I'm sure they do.
And game kind of sending its SCV in the wrong direction there. That's fine. That's fine. He will eventually learn how this map looks like. I wouldn't be surprised at all if game does not know what this map looks like. And it's like,
really?
Backdoor? What?
Backdoors are pretty intense. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of backdoors. They tend to confuse and annoy me and let lurkers and tanks and stuff into my base, which is very, very deeply frustrating. But yeah.
Oh, come on. Every time a backdoor is used, the game is short and exciting.
Oh, okay. No, I'm now all for backdoors, unless they're being used to my detriment. But yeah, go backdoor. So let's see if game can do anything exciting with the backdoor. It's starting to sound very, very dodgy the more I say backdoor. It's pretty nasty. And game finally gets the scout off on Mr. Oxzerg right here, just as the drones transfer out to the natural. So we'll see what he's going to do about this funky situation. And we've got some Marines heading out onto the map, but I doubt they're going to do too much because there are already a few Lings starting to make their impression on the game. So those Marines are probably going to be heading home quite soon. No, it looks like they're going to take a roundabout route and maybe try to do some sneaky stuff. But this does, of course, leave LRM Games natural pretty much entirely undefended. Well, I say pretty much entirely. Literally undefended. And the Marines running back now. That's weird. Oh, I guess they were looking for the Overlord. That's what they must have been doing. Yeah, looking for the Overlord. Okay.
I am always the last person to get sexual reference jokes.
Oh.
Every time.
So innocent, Hucklebeast. So innocent.
Like, I got a story about that, since nothing's happening in the game. Apparently Oxzerg's going for 2-edge Muta. But when I was in high school, I was with a bunch of people, and I was trying to remember what the smaller component of DNA is. And for anybody who's taken high school biology, you know that it's RNA. But it was bothering me that I couldn't remember it. I remembered it was something NA, but I couldn't remember it. And then I was like, what is it? What is it? Oh, it's TNA. Yeah, TNA. And then everybody gave me really weird looks, and it didn't occur to me until 3 weeks later. And I was almost encouraged to go around and goes like, hey, remember that time I said TNA? I now totally understand what that means, and that's not what I meant. But I felt that only would have made it more awkward.
Yeah, to make it even worse, I'm going to have to Google what TNA means, because I'm so very lost about it. I'm sure everybody in the stream chat knows what TNA is, but I am a bit at sea with TNA.
Maybe it's an American term.
Yeah, it probably is. I also don't know anything about DNA, so you're all over me on this one.
DNA?
No, I know what DNA is. Obviously, I'm not thick, but I don't know much about it. I'm not much of a biologist.
Man, I hate biology. Biology's terrible.
Yeah? Can't say I've done it for a while. Actually, that sounded weird. That sounded once again like some sort of weird sexual reference. I haven't done biology for ages. No. Okay, back to the games. Let's stop talking about biology and sexual references and the lack of getting them and stuff. So that sounded. Just don't say anything. Don't say anything. Let's pretend it didn't happen. Right. So we've got some Marines pushing out, and they are being pushed back by Zerglings, and that is what's happening in the StarCraft game, which is taking place right now. LRM game is trying to make his stamp on things, and he's probably going to succeed. So the Comsat station is happening for him. I know he's a big fan of scan. I've played against him a few times and gone DTs, and he just basically scans, and I die, and it's nasty. And yeah, he's just going to take his time for just a minute here. The tech of not Eon Zerg, what am I even talking about? Oxzerg is ready to go. He has his mutants out on the map, but LRM game is going to be nicely prepared for this. He has his missile turrets in on the way, literally as we speak. So that's good timing. As I was mentioning before, the best Terrans often leave it until the very last second, and then the missile turrets pop up just as the mutas get into their base. So good timing there from Mr. LRM game. And now it's all up to Oxzerg to try and make the harass pay before it gets too nasty. And basically this is now the Zerg living on the edge kind of emergency will he survive game part of the match, which is always huge, incredible fun.
Yeah. +1 has started for Oxerg, so he's going to be all in with the 2-hatch Mutalisk and just try to overwhelm Game. But Game has a borderline excessive number of turrets. It's a lot of turrets, not to mention
The 3 muses. Yeah, that's a lot of turrets. Okay, we've got a few more muses on the way in now, but yeah, still not a huge number of muses. And Game is going turret crazy.
Yeah, so excessive number of turrets and a good number of Marines. I don't think that this all-in has a chance of working.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I wouldn't imagine that it does. I mean, yeah, you'd have to get quite lucky, but I think Game's got this pretty well shut down. I'm looking for weak spots right now. I can't really see any. He has to catch kind of missile turret lines on the ends, so there is a little bit of a gap maybe in the natural. If he can micro over that cliff, I'm surprised Game has lifted a building to give him vision over that cliff in the natural, because as we can see now, Ogzerg sees it too. This is a little bit of an opportunity for him to do some damage, but Game does lay down the scan, so that's going to make it slightly easier for him to defend this position. But yeah, there really are no particularly weak spots in Game's defense. Maybe up at the top of his main base, there's a little bit of a dodgy corner, but I'm pretty much just splitting hairs at that point. And it's pretty ill-advised for Ogzerg to be going continually for an all-in at this point. He should probably try an abort before it's too late.
Yeah, this... I don't know. Ogzerg's pretty much metaphorically just ramming his head against a wall at this point. Over and over again, and he's not going to break down the wall.
No, absolutely not. LRM Game is too sturdy for Ogzerg's head. And the Mutas continuing to do their funky thing. There's a few Marines having a little bit of a pot shot out there, but these Mutas run the risk of getting caught quite in open ground. Ogzerg's micro needs to be up to scratch here. He is doing a decent job of taking out some Marines, but I'm not sure it's going to be good enough. Maybe it will. He's taking out quite a few medics, so there's only 2 medics right now to deal with all these Marines, and that's bad. That's more like US healthcare than UK healthcare. But yeah, still going to be doing good enough job, and these Mutas are going to be seen away once again. The all-in is not looking too good at this point.
That's the second reference you've made to UK healthcare. You are...
I know, I was referencing myself.
Yeah, you were really proud of that. UK healthcare really... today.
I love my healthcare, man. Mm-hmm. It keeps me young. I'm actually like 60. You wouldn't know it to look at me, but yeah.
So, these Marines are able to move across pretty uncontested. They just have the freedom to do whatever they want. Not quite as much as American freedom. Because American freedom's great, but...
Have you got your hand on your heart right now? You need your hand on your heart. And we have a lot of Mutas going down. Plenty of Mutas go down, but all the Marines go down. So LRM Game's push is going to be dealt with for now. And this is pretty much the only way in which this all-in can work right now for Ogzerg. He needs to stop anything from happening. It just needs to happen. He just can't let LRM Game get any presence on the map. LRM Game has a plenty of time in which to make an impact, though. He really does, because it's going to be a little while before Ogzerg has another base, or any tech for that matter, in order to do any real damage. And Ogzerg needs to actually make something happen pretty much in LRM Game's main. I hear Mutas, but I'm looking for... Okay, they're happening in the natural. But yeah, it's still pretty much on Ogzerg to make this happen. He's got a lot of Mutas, though. He's got a lot of Mutas hanging around outside the base. He's got a lot of Mutas doing some business in the natural as well. So it's still looking decent enough for him. He still has a decent enough standing army, but he's really going to have to make something proper happen.
I think it's the time in the all-in to switch to Guardians. Because the Mutalisks aren't working out. Ogzerg can't do the double Mutalisk micro Jaedong style and go in with 24 Mutalisks. So...
yeah. Awesome though that would be, but he is doing a decent enough job. He's taking out quite a few Marines. There's actually very few Marines still remaining, so Ogzerg might be able to go in with both control groups of Mutas if he acts quickly. It looks like he's not going to, and there are a few more Marines coming in to reinforce, so his small window of opportunity slams shut once again, but he might be able to take out that missile turret in the middle of the natural. But Game is pushed back quite nicely, and we do have a significant window of opportunity here for Ogzerg. I didn't quite see this coming, but I guess this was his plan all along. having said that, I still think it might be advantageous for him to switch to Guardians quite soon. He definitely doesn't need to be losing Mutas out in open ground, though, since he has still got a good position over the natural, and he should be able to take out Marines as they reinforce as well, as they come out of the main. In that little gap there, throwing away one Mutalist cheaply, and he might lose a couple more, losing one more Mutalist in that group right there. His micro just slipping a little bit, and he needs to keep doing what he has been doing so far and just chipping away at the Terran's defense.
Yeah, it's... I don't know.
Oh, no. So many Mutas died right there. That was at least 4 Mutalists going down. And I'm not quite sure how many there are in that control group because I don't have the multi-selection thing going on, but I'm sure it's not a huge number.
You know what? When you go to Edge Mutalisk, you have to keep in mind that you're expected to get Marine kills, and that's a given.
Yeah.
You can't judge the success of the 2-Edge Mutalisk based off of... There is lag. Oh boy.
Don't start now, you gotta say it earlier.
In true 2-Hatch Mutalisk all-in fashion, when it doesn't work, it's the lag's fault.
Yeah, you gotta say it earlier than at this point. This is too late to call lag. You have to call it early in the game, otherwise it doesn't count.
It doesn't count!
It doesn't count.
Yeah, man. Oh, so... Yeah, it's... No, what I was trying to say before the lag comment was, the Marines aren't horribly important. You can't judge your success off a number of Marine kills. You have to be getting SCV kills. And I think Oxzerg has killed a single SCV that was building a turret, and that is it.
Yeah, he hasn't done any more than that, and he's also let his minerals get sky high. He's gone up to 1,500. He's got himself supply blocked at one point as well, and really this is absolutely over for him at this point. He just has a natural full of Mutalists, and that's absolutely it. 2 sunken colonies not going to be enough. Game has all the options available to him right now, building plenty of science vessels, which means he's going to be able to easily deal with the Mutalist threat. Not that it's a real threat anymore anyway. The third base going down, the Mutalist just dashing in. They are going to be able to take care of this Marine force, but more Marines coming in might be able to do some serious damage to these Mutalists. And the Mutalists just continuing to do the attack move, going to lose a lot of health, losing 1, maybe 2 Mutalists, no, not quite 2, but a lot of damaged Mutas in there. And since that's all Oxzerg has, he is not looking great. 60 supply net right now for Oxzerg versus 83 for Game, so not too big of a supply swing. But still, Game perfectly happy to take the position he's got, because Oxzerg is really making no headway whatsoever.
I assume Irradiate is done for Game at this point. He's also laying Spider Mines, hoping to get Splash on the Mutalisks. Why not? I guess. It doesn't matter. He has Science Vessels with Irradiate.
If he sets off like 5 at once, then it splashes upwards.
Yeah. Clearly. Oh. I'm pretty sure Spider Mine's an SA2 Splash Air.
Oh, big Irradiate goes off in the Mutas, but manages to pull the right meter straight away, so nice micro there.
And
Trying to kill off the meter. Oh,
in.
another Irradiate! Oh, and this is so terrible for Oxzerg. Not that he wasn't in a horrible position anyway, but this just compacts the problem, and his meter count is pretty much hitting rock bottom at this stage. 60 supply for him versus 104 for Game, and that gap is widening at a worrying speed for Oxzerg. I think his window of opportunity shut a long time ago. Game now with a third base up and running. I don't know if Oxzerg is aware of that back expansion that he has. He must be aware of it, surely. Maybe not.
There was never a window of opportunity. It was a brick wall of opportunity. And the brick wall of opportunity was never open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, so Mutalisk going in once again. They do manage to snipe 1 of the science vessels, 2 of the science vessels, and finally we get the Irradiates to go down. 2 Irradiates, and so many Mutalisks are going to go down. There are 2 left in that cluster, and a bunch left in the natural, about 11. It doesn't matter.
Something like that. It's not going to be enough to deal with this. I mean, that's quite a few Marines coming in. 2 second colonies definitely not going to be enough. If he has 1 more Irradiate in him, then that's going to be absolutely terrible for these Mutalisks. He doesn't have any more Irradiates in him, but still those Mutalisks are not going to be able to do what they need to do. And as they haven't been all game, this has just been so effectively shut down, and those Marines are going to be pushing all the way into the natural, and are going to start really setting to work on this main base. All the Mutalisks just dashing in to try and do a little bit of last-ditch damage, but that is certainly not going to be any deciding factor. Oxzerg is going to be forced to GG out any second now. GG from Oxzerg, and LRM game will take it. And I believe that puts the scoreline at 3-2 to LRM. A bit of a swing after they were 2-1 down after Cryok's victory against True Touch.
Yep. I would also like to point out that game was at 1-0 Marines the entire time because he does not like upgrades.
Oh, yeah. As he said before, upgrades are for people with not enough bases.
Clearly.
Which is a good quotation.
He was on 2 base.
Yeah, that's neither here nor there.
Alright. So, game is hosted. Game number 6 of LRM versus iFU. LRM game could get a 3-kill here and seal it out. Or iFU could use somebody. I'm trying to think of who they have. Eon Zerg.
Well, we're about to find out.
TTF is banned.
Oh yeah.
I think Alfio is banned from last season for like the first 6 weeks or something.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he was like his 4th offense or something stupid like that.
Classic Alfio.
Alfio. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Eon Zerg, but we shall see.
I think so. And no, it is not Eon Zerg.
Oh.
It is going to be SPX versus LRM game. I'm guessing you probably don't have a fancy intro for SPX.
I don't, only because he didn't get to play in Gambit Cup, but SPX is a really talented player who has gotten
he's good.
Yeah, very, very high results in Defiler Tours. Not recently necessarily, but I'm really glad to see him in Gambit Cup. That's nice.
Yeah, that's cool. Is he an old school player or is he a relatively new player?
He's relatively old. He's been around for a while. Oops. So,
Weird that I don't know the name. I haven't seen a lot out of him, but yeah, cool. We'll see what he can break out against LRM game here. Yeah.
Alright, so apparently game purposely picked Protoss this time. I would be very scared going up against SPX's Terran. He is a very good TBT. So not unreasonable for game. The map is Chain Reaction, which is kind of a silly map in my opinion. It's the map with the absurd number of destructible buildings on it.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds weird. Oh wow, there are a lot of destructible buildings, aren't there?
There are a lot of destructible buildings on this map.
Wow. Goodness me. Okay, well, yeah, we'll see how that works out. That's probably better for Terran than it is for Protoss, I'm going to say, because of Siege Tank funky action.
Oh man, game with the mind games in there. It's like, hey, remember that time you went 0-8 versus this guy? How did that happen?
Yeah, but anyone can go 0-8
man.
versus Oya.
Yeah. I thought he was going to go ask about proxy gates and then proxy gate something, but he might not.
No, it doesn't look like he's going to. He's just made up the normal gateway in his main base. Looking very, very normal so far indeed, actually. Making up the cybernetics core as well.
Does game know how those minerals work? Because he sent a probe.
I assume so, yeah.
He sent his first probe to go and like mine them out, but you can't do that. It's not like destination mineral patches where you can have one probe just mine for a long time. There are 40 minerals there. You need like 5 probes.
That's weird, isn't it?
Like one of them's returning minerals. He sent one more out. I don't know what's up with that. You could glitch probes through if he had both of them there at the same time, but he's clearly not doing that.
Game must know. Game must know. I'm sure he does. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
I mean, he better know now, as he's had to return trips.
Well, I'm sure he knows now. Maybe he's just completely fine with the fact that it just keeps mining out for a long time. I don't know. Perhaps. Either way, he seems relatively unbothered by the whole thing. And he's getting a decent scout off on his Terran opponent. We have the first factory on the way, and we still have 3 guys on gas, so this could indicate either a dropship build or a 2-factory build, so we'll see. But we could be seeing something aggressive out of our Terran player here, which would be not unwelcome in the least. Interesting pylon placement from LRM game. Can't quite explain that, it's a little bit weird, but not too much of a big difference. And he's finally going to be able to flush out the scouting SCV, which has been making a nuisance of itself for quite some time. And yeah, this whole mining out thing is a bit bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess he's just...
I mean, it probably would have been more efficient to just make an extractor down at that gas and use that to get rid of the minerals every time.
Alternatively, I mean, I don't know what's more efficient, because it's like, he clearly isn't going for an early rush.
Okay, it's DTs. It's DTs.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay,
yeah.
so he's going for DTs. And it's like, if you're talking about in terms of efficiency, he doesn't need it now. So it's fine if he waits a long time. But at the same time, he's wasting a lot of mining time with 2 probes going all the way back and forth like that. He might actually have saved 100 minerals if he had built a geyser. Or built on the geyser.
Yeah, he may well have done. I'm not
Possibly.
quite sure. It'd be interesting to figure that out. But this is weird. He's gone for a Robo and a Citadel. Why would he possibly go for DT drop when he's done that mining out action?
Clearly. So he's gonna drop the DT.
But why?
It's gonna get a bunch of kills. And then SPX is going to realize what's happened. He'll have a turret out at the front by the command center, so the DT won't be able to get out that way. So the DT will need an escape path in the back. Clearly, this is long-term escape route planning by Game, because Game is a deeply caring person, and he cares about the life of each and every one of his soldiers. That's just how great of a commander he is.
It's just weird. Like, why has he might spent all that? He's definitely spent a lot of money doing that. That was not cheap for him. He's invested a lot of money out of those minerals. That was two probes working for quite some time, and yet still, after all this time, he's gone for DT drop. I find that thoroughly confusing. But oh well. Thank you for confusing me, Game. Congratulations. We have a little bit of stuff coming into the front of Game's base. SPX doing that 2-factory push, which we've been waiting for so long, and this is going to be quite damaging to Game. I think he's going to have trouble holding this off. One of his Dragoons bugging out a little bit. Will he have DTs out in time? He will have a DT out in time, but it could take a rather nasty and unnecessary mine hit right there on the ramp, and it does indeed do so. Mines could be absolutely the deciding factor. It could be a big mine drag off on the Terran Force, but it doesn't manage to get the tank. But all his DTs are running the risk of going down here before they actually get over to the Terran base. So this is a pretty nasty situation for LRM going to be in. He can survive, but he can't necessarily do any damage and anything beyond that.
It did hit the tank. The tank is now only at 50 health. It just didn't kill it. And he's getting more aggressive here. He certainly sees the shuttle. He knows that DT drops are a possibility at this point.
Could we have a mine drag? Could we have a big mine drag? Oh, he doesn't know that the mines are right there. That could have killed every single unit that was going. DT's taking some more mine hits, and the vultures are going to start starting to work on the probes. And these vultures can do so much damage to these probes right now if they're micro correctly, which I'm sure they will be. And this is bad situation for LRM Gaming. He's still unable to do the damage he wants to do. Oh, and losing a DT and a Dragoon in a double whammy mine hit right there, which is really bad times for him. Weird how he's laid down the pylon in the natural expansion of the Terran. I guess that's a pretty good move in terms of delaying. But yeah, this is seriously nasty for our process player right now. Finally, he's able to load something into that shuttle and take it out across the map. But this has been a long time coming, and SPX is going to be thoroughly prepared for this to happen.
Maybe Game anticipated that SPX would have expanded sooner, so that all the mines would be out in front of the natural, so that he could, like, walk it. No, that doesn't make any sense either. Yeah, I have no clue at all. I don't know why he mined it out. I cannot explain why the hell he mined it out. And I really don't know what he was expecting too different about the drop, because clearly it was scouted. Clearly you gave SPX a hell of a lot of time to prepare for it.
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
was nasty.
Because when you fly the shuttle in like that, it's usually like, oh no, I wasn't expecting him to have turrets up. But obviously he's going to have turrets up.
Yeah, nonetheless, it's something a good player wouldn't usually do. I mean, I'm not saying Game's bad, because clearly he's not bad, but that's a rare slip-up. And usually I'd expect him to be a little bit more careful than that, but clearly just getting a little bit flustered here in this game. Will he try a big mine drag on these vultures? He does succeed in a pretty good mine drag, which might save the bulk of his probes. But this is a serious risk. Might we see a massive mineral mine drag? Oh! Incredibly clutch! Clutch stuff.
The probes are injured. There's a lot of 15 health probes in there.
That was some serious probe action right there. They saw the mine pop up and they were like diving on top of it with their tin helmets. seriously heroic probes going at it.
Man, that's like mines. Mines are a lot better than scarabs, but they can be blocked by probes in the same way if they're targeting a dragoon that's behind the probes. And that happened a little bit there. It gave the probes enough time before the mine could find a better path around. It gave them enough time to defuse it themselves. Because probes actually can attack mines.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I don't know if that was skill or luck right there that saved all those probes. I don't know if attacking that mine was pure, sheer, awesome skill or ridiculous luck. I can't make my mind up.
You know what it was? The probes were so impressed by their commander game that he would mine out a back door so that the DTs could escape, that they did not mind potentially giving their lives for him as they jumped towards the mine.
So
that's what you get for having a good commander. You get valiant soldier probes.
It's like cool probes. Fortunately, because he went for that weird DT drop that he didn't necessarily need to go to, he now has observers much earlier than he otherwise would. So he is able to push out relatively undisturbed by mines. I was about to say it and then thought I probably shouldn't say it because he got bashed by mines. But now we do have an expansion happening for SPX, and we also have an expansion about to happen for LRM games. So this is not as over as it might appear, because SPX has relatively little stuff. He has 45 supply. He has just all his units on the map are 3 vultures, and beyond that everything is SCVs. So Game actually has a bigger standing army than he does, and he has better tech to boot, and an Nexus on the way up as well. So whilst SPX's CC is going to be slightly ahead of Game's Natural Nexus, it's not hugely ahead. I'm not saying he's in a good position, but not as bad as he might have appeared to be.
Oh man, we're gonna see it. We are going to see the Dragoons use the back door.
Yes, I don't think it's going to work.
I mean, there's a barracks in the way, so SPX must have scouted that was coming, or just naturally does that anyway. But yes, Game anticipated that his DT drop would fail miserably. Flying it into 2 turrets was all part of his master plan. And sacrificing DTs in the shuttle by flying him into turrets actually means that he's a terrible commander, and it's the exact opposite of what I was describing earlier. But that's fine.
Yeah. It's alright. SPX has this scouted out, so the barracks is going to be able to make sure that nothing crazy happens. Scan to take out that observer. Smart move by SPX might actually work. Will he take out the observer? No, he will not be able to get the observer. But he is nonetheless easily able to close this down. I'd be very surprised if these Dragoons were able to do a huge amount of damage, and they are indeed pulling back, knowing that they can't do anything without taking one hell of a lot of damage or getting killed entirely. So yeah, it's time for LRM Game to retreat and try and dream up something else. He is a bit of a risk of taking a lot of damage from a mid-game push right here. He needs to get those Dragoons back to rejoin with the bulk of his army, because SPX can mount some pretty serious pressure here. I mean, it's surprising how fast the tank count really builds up when he's producing off 2 factories, and you don't need a huge amount to be really pretty scary in the mid-game.
Yep. We have seen SPX be a lot more aggressive with his vultures this game, and it's certainly what Cryok did not do in his TVP. And you can certainly see all the benefits he's got out of it. Even though Game has observers out on the field, there's been a lot of mine hits this game. Just lots and lots of mine hits. And he knows generally how strong the army is, and he'll be able to clear out, he'll be able to see when the army moves out. And he can see this probe that's going to go expand. He now knows that Game wants to expand. Just so many good things come with mines. So many very small but very good things come with mines.
Yeah, mines are good, and that's something that Cryok needs to get the hang of, because in that match versus LRM Game, mines would have definitely helped him out a lot. Generally, they just can't be bad. Just having good mine presence on the map is incredibly useful, because it gets you lots of free kills and gets you good vision, so there's no real reason not to do it. SPX now making ready to take up a 3rd base, so he's not going to try and mount too much pressure. Game looks like he's considering doing the same also. It's going to be slightly delayed for him, so Game is just a little bit behind every step of the way in terms of expansion timing in this in this matchup here, which is quite disadvantageous for him, and it means that he will probably end up falling quite short in the late game because his supply count will struggle to really keep speed, and we can see that now they're even on supply, but as SPX they're basically going to come up a little bit faster, his supply will start to rise a little bit quicker than LRM Games will.
Indeed. Game does have a reasonably sized army, but as you were talking about earlier, SPX is able to get out a lot of tanks on the field because of those very quick 2 machine shops. And we see SPX getting the other necessary higher tech buildings, getting an armory, getting a science facility. Excuse me.
It's alright.
Is Game once again going to be going for pretty late arbiters? It does look like it, as he has a rather heavy gateway count with no Stargate on the way.
Yeah, that's pretty late arbiters. I mean, it can work out as we saw before, but I think in this situation he'd really need a fair amount of stasis in order to beat back what he's going to be facing sooner or later here. And this is the point at which the supply count for the Terran really starts to go up fast. And that is a serious risk for Game, that he's going to get caught further down the line. I mean, he's kind of stayed alive and mounted a little bit of aggression, but it does really come back and bite you on the ass when you haven't really been able to do any damage to the Terran whatsoever by the time the late game rolls around.
I don't think SPX knows this map, because he's destroying these temples, but they're temples that lead to nothing.
Yeah, they are. He could,
like,
well, not really nothing, but yeah, I see what you mean. A bit weird.
Yeah, he can use them to go up and around. I think he wants to try to go through the back door, like where, the way the Dragoons could have came, and where he's blocking now. But he doesn't realize that he doesn't need to take these out. He can just go down and around and not spend 5 minutes attacking the temple.
Yeah, and it's going to be incredibly slow killing the temples with vultures as well. Look at how slow the health is ticking down. It's just going to be unbearable, and I can't bear to watch that for any longer. Game now with a decent army. Does he have an observer? Okay, he doesn't have an observer with it. I thought he was going to go wandering into those 2 mines, and we were going to see the joys of having mine presence on the map, and he does do it anyway. It takes a few hefty mine hits, loses a Dragoon for his trouble before the observer even manages to show up. And diverting the vultures from killing those temples, thank God, because that was going to take a ridiculously long time in order to defend this push from Game. I can't see this doing a huge amount of damage. He just doesn't have the force behind him. I don't think he's even trying to do much damage, just doing a little bit of mine clearing, which is sensible. Game's 3rd base is now up. It looks like SPX is probably going to be able to take a 4th fairly soon. He does have some cash in the bank, and he does have an extra base available to him, but no real intention to do so, so we'll see how that pans out. But Game really does need a 4th quite soon, and he needs to get his tech in proper order. Just having a look around now, we do finally have an Arbiter Tribunal happening, but I think he's going to need a 2nd Stargate in order to make that Arbiter tech fully effective by the time the Terran push comes around.
It looks like Game mined out his own backdoor, interestingly enough, so he's going to sneak out some Zealots, potentially set up a flank here, but the Zealots actually won't be able to get through. The temple's already really weakened, though. The Zealots might actually be able to get through without too much hesitation as they try to get up the ramp. The elevator does not work, and yeah, the C-Sinks divert fire. Wow. SPX got very lucky that he was not able to destroy the temple and let those Zealots in. That was kind of close.
Yeah, that was pretty iffy stuff. SPX looks well defended against it. I don't know really what Game's doing with those Dragoons. I don't know if he's planning any kind of aggression or if he's literally just trying to mine clear and limit SPX's vision and control over the map. I'm not quite sure. Game's vision of, and control of the map is quite good at this stage. He's got plenty of observers dotted around. He's got all the Terran pathways pretty well locked down, so he really knows what the deal is at any one point. And his economy is going to maybe slowly catch up. SPX is now limited to, let me see, it's going to be very soon. He's got 2 mining bases properly working right now. It's going to be 3 again quite soon. But Game not doing too terribly in terms of economy. He does need another base or 2 in order to really cement his position. But I think the tech is what's really going to hurt him. He just does not have the stasis that I think he'd need to deal with what SPX has coming at him. And on 181 supply, our Terran player is nearly ready to push.
Yep. Game's mined out at his main now. So setting up a fourth base as SPX is as well. Both players have stayed very, very similar on the upgrading. And I'm watching what Terran's doing bottom right. All the units are attacking the temple, except for the SCV is attacking the supply depot.
Crazy stuff.
Alright.
Oh, there's vultures. Wow, look at that. Serious vulture action.
So, game going in for a flank now. Finally managing to get units through the back door. The vultures are horribly out of position, so zealots can get to the tanks, but will it quite be enough? Very close, but not quite. 2 tanks will remain. That position is now vulnerable if Gabe wanted to follow up, although his units are on the other side of the map right now, so that doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It does look like we have a little bit more confrontation. The Vulture's getting a little bit too far ahead, but Game's army isn't exactly ready either.
Oh,
so
Game losing a shuttle as well right there.
Oh.
I don't think it had anything important in it, but nonetheless, shuttles are pretty good when you're facing down against Terran. You wouldn't want to be losing them for free. It's weird how SPX is sort of pushing with a small chunk of his army. I feel if he were to collect his entire army together and do a big push, he could probably steamroll Game quite effectively right now, who is only on 138 supply.
Yeah, I feel like I've missed a huge engagement. Because I don't think Game's lost like that much supply. I don't know why he's 50 supply behind a Terran. I mean, he hasn't had very good engagements, but they haven't been that bad.
No, but he's just slowly fallen way behind. I mean, SPX has just stayed ahead on bases the whole time, and it's really, really paid off. The economy really does work, I guess.
And SPX going to be super annoying and siege up tanks in the back. He can hit a lot of tech buildings. Where he is right there, probably only the Stargate, but if he wants to go a little bit forward, he can hit other stuff. Oh, I guess he can't hit the Stargate. Doesn't quite have vision of it. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm just looking at this game and thinking if there's any way that LRM Game can get back into the match, and I just don't know if there is. That Stargate position is quite fortunate for Game. But yeah, I just don't really know what he can do. His supply is just so far behind at this point. He's going to try and do an assault over the bridges. I don't think this is a very good idea. He's going to be forced through a serious choke point right now. His army is going to get taken to the cleaners. Fortunately for him, SPX only has a bit of his stuff in there, but nonetheless, this is so cost inefficient for LRM Game. The zealots trying to pour through, trying to do their job, but some reinforcements coming in from SPX means that this is going to be quite easily dealt with. Quite a lot of supply down. Credit to Game. He did do a fair amount of damage where it didn't look like he would be able to do so, but even so, SPX is going to be able to rebuild his army quite a lot significantly quicker. We have LRM Game banking 800 minerals, whereas SPX was sitting on about 2,500, so he's going to be able to remake fairly fast. Still quite low on the factory count, so it's not going to be quite as quick as it might otherwise be, but he's going to be fairly sharp about it nonetheless, and he's continuing to take more bases. He's just very gradually, very kind of controlledly taking this game for himself, and I think it's gonna eventually pay off.
Methodically.
Yeah, methodically. That was the word I was searching for. Thank you.
Yeah. One game the big engagements in his other PVT was when he, when he got bust out the storms. He had really nice storms, and in that engagement where he was hitting SPX as he was crossing the bridge, SPX units could not have been more clumped up. That would have been the ideal time for storms, and he might have even won that engagement with storms, but no High Templars this game means that he's not going to be able to win those kind of battles with such crushing victories. And really, Protoss has a hard time recovering supply against a Terran. Once Terran gets ahead, it's really hard for Terran to fall behind, as long as Terran doesn't get too careless. And now, once again, back behind by 50.
Yeah, I mean, with each battle, he's just going to fall further and further behind. He does not have the unit count to make the significant impact he needs and to be able to continue to roll on and then do some economic damage from there, which is going to prevent the Terran from effectively rebuilding his army to the same strength it was before Game can do it. And so it's just a slow and steady decline for him, really. But I'm surprised he's managed to hold on this long. A lot of lesser players would not have managed to do so. It's taking SPX a long time to break him down. I feel that if SPX were really to collect himself together and make a concerted, proper push, he might do a lot better. But he's just been putting his army in dribs and drabs. Well, I don't really say that because he's been using it relatively effectively, but just in small forces. Whereas I think one big steamroll might have been probably the way to go with this, as so many Terrans often choose to. Once again, LRM game trying to do a little bit of damage across that bridge and failing to do so. And yeah, it's pushed back, and it looks like finally SPX is going to be able to cross that position and might be able to take out that bottom right hand corner base, at least give it a good run for his money. And Game is probably going to be powerless to do anything about that. He's going to try and rush in once again, but he simply does not have the speed zealot count. I don't think this is going to be a great engagement for him, trying to do some nice mine drags, but SPX was entirely prepared for that, and the units do not survive long enough for any of the mines to explode. Another decisive engagement for SPX, and yeah, the situation continues to worsen for LRM Game in this matchup. Still coming in with more units. I'm really surprised at how many he's been able to produce, but it's just not enough. And back he goes once again, and the supply deficit has increased even further. 97 supplied to 198, now 200 again. Maxed SPX is more than 100 supply ahead of LRM Game at this point. And so undoubtedly one big push is going to be able to finish this off.
Yeah. As you said, 4 is certainly going to go down. More units streaming down the very left side of the map, so even the natural looks like it might be taken out, leaving Game with only one mining base, and it's a mining base that's separated from his production facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I think LRM Game's goose is pretty much cooked for this one. The mass D-matrix going down as a D-matrix on a status tank, which is quite a curious thing to behold. I'm not quite sure how or why that's possible, but apparently it is. And GG from LRM Game at long last, seeing he has no opportunity in this game. He GG's out, and that will put the Clan War tied at 3-all. And we have one final game therefore remaining in this, the longest Clan War ever, perhaps.
I don't know, like 3 hours?
No,
it could be.
It's long.
If the last game is long enough, maybe.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Game number 7.
I'm trying to talk like slowly and quietly because my voice is actually starting to crack up a little bit.
Alright.
Game, please be joking. Please.
He said that before every set so far.
Well, he was right. Every game has been 2 hours. I'm sure of it. And you can't tell me otherwise.
Alright.
Oh my god. I'm stealing myself.
So, the dramatic conclusion of iFU versus LRM.
Time 16.
16. In the bottom left, we have SPX as the brown Terran, and in the bottom right, we have LRM Technics. Interesting.
Exciting stuff. Yeah, Technics, damn good player, as is SPX. And I'm excited to see a little bit of TVZ action. It seems we've had a little bit of chattiness in the channel before, so curious to see what these guys are going on about. Apparently, Technics has been negative about something, so that's cool. But Technics is, of course, a good player, and we should be able to see a pretty decent slugfest out of these two guys. And Technics, yeah, no particular cheese coming from either of them as of yet. Looking like they're both gonna just feel free to take it into the next stage of the game. I was kind of holding out for a 4-pool or something, but not gonna happen.
Backstory of this: SPX went AFK for 45 minutes. Alright.
What?
See, it's that kind of stuff that leads to super long clan wars. It's never just the games. It's because there can't be a connection, or because somebody goes AFK for 45 minutes.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that happened because otherwise I would actually think we were probably looking at a 2-hour-ish game right here, which would depress me. But yeah, that's interesting, weird little bit of backstory. I never understand players who kind of mess up during Clan Wars because kind of whenever I go to Clan Wars, it's you know, is I get my business head on and I'm like, yeah, it's all go, it's all Clan War time. I would never kind of wander off or anything. It's weird. But you know, whatever. I guess that's just me.
Alright. So, we are back on the first map, which is Outlier once again. Outlier is really bad for Terran in this matchup. Like,
really?
And
I suppose it is.
And I see Draw like quoting 4-0 for Zerg and saying it's not enough statistics, and it's like, yeah, normally 4 games is not enough to determine an opinion on a map. But the reason it's only 4-0 and there aren't more matches is because Terrans are never sent out on this map. Because this map is really bad for Terran.
Yeah.
So
well, we'll see how this goes. Oh, he's going to do a little bit of the bunker rushing action. So he's going to try and prevent this hatchery from getting up, or at the very least force a disadvantageous situation for our Zerg player. The Marines are now on the way out, a couple of SCVs on the way to back up too. So of course he wants to catch this bunker. It doesn't matter if he pulls the SCV off it for a little bit, but he just has to make sure it eventually gets completed. Or he could even build a second one. It's good Overlord positioning to have that Overlord out there hovering beyond the natural, because of course then he can't build a second bunker further back and then leapfrog forward into the Zerg's hatchery vision, which is often a clever thing to do. So that's a good little bit of Overlord positioning to keep him in the know, and that bunker gets shut down fairly swiftly, and instead SPX just has to make a bunker up at his natural and proceed with a normal kind of fast expandy kind of thing, and meanwhile just getting a little bit of scouting going and seeing what the Zerg is up to. So after a little bit of early excitement, it all ends up pretty much without any kind of calamity for our Zerg player.
SPX getting a little bit forward with the Marines, but he catches the Zerglings at a great position and forces Technics back. He doesn't even need to use the bunker. So, absolutely right. Losing that bunker really not going to cost, really not going to cost SPX very much at all. The mining time from the SCVs is more of a loss, and that's minimal as well. But these Marines are getting very far forward, and they might get sniped by the Zerglings. I'm not sure why SPX was getting so far forward, and is it going to cost him a Marine? Technics trying to get in front, trying to cut him off. No, it's not going to quite cost him a Marine, but still, I don't know what he's doing at this point in the game getting so far forward.
Yeah, it is a little bit strange, isn't it? Seems quite unusual. Oh well. Ooh, wells. Looks like SPX is going to be fairly safe. He's just going to relax on that ramp. A few Zerglings looking relatively unthreatening. Is the game lagging for you? I'm getting a little bit of weird lag.
Nope. Oh, yeah, a little. Now that you mention
Maybe
that.
my laptop's getting hot. I don't usually use a laptop for this kind of thing, but I don't really have much choice today. As I've already mentioned, I'm sat in an empty room, just casting on a laptop. Yeah, it's pretty depressing. Never mind.
See if that fixes
I don't
it.
know. I don't know if that'll help. I think it's my computer freaking out a little bit. I hope it doesn't drop me out again. But anyway, it's all good. So SPX looking quite safe. He's got his bunker up and running. He's got his natural going now as well. It's all looking cool. It's all looking fine and dandy. And yeah, let's see what Technics has got for this. He's got the gas going up as natural, so it is undoubtedly going to be some fun Mutalisk action. We've got the lair nearly done as well. It should all progress fairly normally. We got 4.
Yeah, it's not going to quite progress normally.
Yeah.
SPX with 4 racks is before an academy, before an eBay. eBay hasn't even been started. So SPX is going to do something very Marine heavy here. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get almost no turrets at all, as if you can be aggressive enough, you won't let the Mutalisks have even a chance to get back. And he's going to go for some kind of bust attempt on Technics front before Technics is able to get Mutalisks out.
Cool stuff. I think that's a pretty good shout. I do like this 4-rack style, and well, as I said, you know, quick, exciting games. That's what I'm in the market for. That's what I'm rooting for. And SPX heard my pleas through space and time.
Honestly, a lot of games have started out like that of this series.
Yeah,
Like,
you're not wrong.
Like, both of Game's TVPs both started out with DT rushes. It's like, it's like, oh, it seems like a lot of these games are like cheese that doesn't quite work out. But, Technics, with a very large number of lings at this point in the game, if SPX gets a little bit too aggressive here, it could be really bad for him. But no, he's going in for an attack. He does not realize how many Marines SPX has, and he's going to lose. He lost a good number of lings, but he did kill off some Marines and backed out with most of his forces intact. So really not that bad from him.
Well, of course, he had no reason to suspect what SPX was doing, because how would he have known? He had no idea. The firebats are going to make such light work of the Zerglings there. One firebat goes down, but the other one is still fighting on strong. So this is a really nice situation for the Terran to be in. It looks like his early strategy might work out quite nicely. The Mutas are on the way, so they should pop out before this push makes its way over to his natural. But still, that's a decent Marine, very, very decent Marine count. There's two whole different progs of Marines coming in right now. So he's definitely going to need those extra Sunkens at his natural if he's going to hold out against this. The Mutas are now out, but he runs the risk of getting them slightly caught, pulls them back just in time. And I think it's time for SPX to try some kind of bust. He definitely looks ready to do it, and that is a really, really pretty significant Marine count. His medic's getting a little bit left behind, and he needs to stim. Does he have stim? I'm sure he does. Does he? Yes, he does have stim. Okay, good. But yeah, this is pretty much his window of opportunity right now, with only 3 Sunkens up and running and not all that many Mutas. I think he can definitely do some serious damage here, but some good Mutalist micro over that cliff means that he might just hold back the Terran onslaught for a minute longer.
Yeah, for a little while here, Technics does need to be really careful of not throwing away his Mutalisks in this. He does want to try to whittle down the forces, but if he accidentally loses a lot of Mutalisks here, SPX can just go for the attack. I'm going to check back at SPX's base. What's his follow-up? He is not making any Marines. He has a factory, but he's not making anything out of that. His macro is just slipping at this point. Okay, there we go. Now he's making Marines again.
Yeah, well.
Alright. So, sorry the starport. It looks like he will be transitioning out of this with his rush not getting a whole lot done. Now being taken out. Yeah, that's a pretty dangerous start. What does the turrets look like? He does have an okay number of turrets, so he won't die immediately to the Mutalisks, but he wanted to do more with that bust.
Yeah. Yeah, he really did. I mean, that was quite a concerted effort from him for relatively little reward, and it's looking quite safe at this point for Technic's point of view. I mean, he's still got a decent number of Mutalisks hanging around, not a huge number, but he's done good damage with them already, and anything extra at this point is just a bonus. Whilst I'm sure he'd want some SCV kills, it's not absolutely essential. And he's getting his third base up. He's got a decent number of lurkers coming in, so he's feeling quite nice about the position he's in, and he's even ahead on supply at this point, which is always a strong indication for how well the Zerg is doing. If he's ahead on supply, it's usually looking pretty good for him. Mutas in there just causing a little bit of trouble, taking out the very, very low Marine count. They're just able to deal with every single Marine in here, and this is seriously bad times for SPX, as his barracks are getting absolutely camped by these Mutalisks, and yeah, Technic's looking seriously good.
Yeah, just losing one low health Mutalisk at the end there, but you're absolutely right. It is very disturbing by how few Marines SPX has at the moment. Technic's actually managing to be ahead in supply as a Zerg player at this stage in the game. Very rare. His hive is on the way. A relatively fast hive here. And lurkers are out at the front. This is going to be a bear for SPX to try to fight through, as he just does not have the units really to do anything. And Technic's is going to get very aggressive here, going to even try for a bust. That many lurkers easily can take out a bunker, and then advancing forward with just a few more. It does not matter that there are turrets there. There are just simply not enough units to deal with it. Really, the tank's the only hope, because the tank can outrange it, but even that isn't doing a very good job at this point. Now a second tank, and Technic's continuing to go in with just lurkers. I'm surprised he can't find any reinforcements to help them out, but still doing great damage. All of the Marines are dead. One of the tanks is dead. There is one tank left and one Marine.
Yeah, this is some seriously good damage right here from Eon Zerg. He is all, not Eon Zerg, sorry, from Technics. He is all over this game right now. And SPX will definitely be a little bit frustrated with himself for letting this happen. Whilst he had a good push, I feel that he really let his position slip slightly unnecessarily. He is able to push that pressure back, but wow, he lost so much purchase over his natural. He lost a lot of mine time. He lost pretty much all his units. There are reinforcements coming in right now from Technics. He just loses that last lurker before the Lings get there, and looks like SPX will be able to make his natural kind of safe, but I still don't think it's entirely safe. And all the while, Technics has been able to get the third base up, which is looking very, very secure. He has a lurker Ling defense up and ready at that top position of the map. So yeah, Technics is in a really good position. SPX is going to have to do something seriously special with this dropship right now. He has a handful of units in that dropship, but we have the Mutas coming in, providing excellent vision right now for Technics. So he's going to see that dropship just as soon as it gets out there, and I'll be surprised if that dropship even manages to survive.
Yeah, it is not looking good, as it does indeed fly directly into a Mutalisk. We'll need to... Oh, there we go. There's the Scourge to finish it off. And manages to get one Marine out, but dropship very easily stopped. Technics afraid to leave his... afraid to leave his base at this point. Falling farther behind in supply, now behind by 20. What kind of hive tech does Technics have? Getting a Greater Spire and a Defiler Mount at the same time. You know what? Why not? Why not get a Greater Spire? I guess.
Why not indeed? Great Spire is pretty good. I mean, I'm always amazed by how good Guardians really are in ZVT. They just absolutely make mincemeat of Marines. I mean, it's not even a contest. But still with a decent lurker Ling force in the middle of the map, definitely enough for one good defense before he transitions onto any kind of higher level tech for the bulk of his army. And yeah, Technics is still going to be feeling pretty good. He's not entirely safe yet, however. There is a push heading over to the 12 o'clock position of the map, which he doesn't seem to be entirely aware of. His map vision through the middle is not as good as maybe it could be. His overload spread, not ideal, and he doesn't have many Lings dotted around either, so he is kind of maybe set to be caught a little bit by surprise by this. He does have a few Lings going in, manages to lose only a few before he manages to pull them away, and of course he does now know what's up, so he might be able to get a decent flank. He has a significant number of units coming around the back, but will he be able to catch his force before it's too late?
No, I don't know. Terran moving in now, going to certainly be able to take out something here if nothing else to the extractor, but the Sun Colonies won't do too much to delay. Meanwhile, Technics just going to ignore it and go in for the bust. A lot of damage done at the front, losing the initial tanks. There are two bunkers, but only one bunker left, and it doesn't even have anything in it. And, oh, wow, simultaneously the Guardians coming to help out. So many kills on these Guardians. They managed to rack up a lot of SCVs. And now there are lurkers even at the ramp. It looks like Technics is just going to forfeit his base at the top. But it doesn't matter if he's able to take out the natural and push into the main with a nice large force. Oh, wow.
Yeah, damn, Guardians are seriously good, and they've really what's broken the back of this game finally. I mean, SPX is pretty much finished at this point. His main is being made mincemeat of. Those are cracklings, and they make very short work of buildings. I mean, nothing survives for very long against cracklings, but they are what you need if you want to get through a base really, really quickly. He's starting to lift off his buildings. This is not in an attempt to win. This is just in a weird attempt to kind of prolong things. There is no way that this game is going to be going to SPX at this point. He's pushed all the way back into his main. There are lurkers all up in his grill. And GG from SPX. And the clan war goes to LRM. Technics finally managing to take it for these guys in what is one of the longest clan wars of all time.
Yeah.
Possibly the longest one I've ever commentated. I've commentated some long stuff, but that's serious.
It certainly was a long one. A very hard fought win for LRM, but they are able to take it in the end.
Yeah. So congratulations to LRM, and previously to that, congratulations to Team China, whom we saw win their first clan war of the season and their first clan war ever in Gambit's Cup. So very, very impressive from those guys, and congratulations to both those teams for winning today. Hacklebeast, when is your next cast going to be coming up?
My next cast will be later this week. We still have two more clan matches that took place today that won't be casted today. SAS versus Sir and excuse me, and SJ versus Fox. I don't know when that cast will be, but I'll be sure to post it in the thread and give you like at least 24 hours worth of give you at least 24 hours worth of notice. Hopefully I'll be able to put it at a time where Elegant will be able to join me once again.
Woohoo! Team Fox! Woo! Team Fox fighting!
Team Fox fighting indeed. Other than that, the next scheduled cast I will have will be on next Sunday, where we cast Week 2 action. Before I close, though, I do want to thank a couple of people. Thank you to Organizer Awa. Thank you to the sponsors, Noise and Minus Eagle. Thank you to the referee. And thank you to Stratos, who I haven't actually officially thanked yet, for making the videos. He put in a lot of effort on those. I think they turned out really well, and I will be sure to be using them all season long. Elegant, do you have any words before we close?
No, just thank you to everybody who watched. I hope you make the effort to come back, tune in again next week. And yeah, it's been good. And thank you very much, Hackabees, for having me on your stream.
Indeed. Thanks, everyone.